Councilmember Lane?
Here.
Councilmember Lewis?
Here.
Councilmember Whitmer?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Gboya?
Yeah.
I note that Mayor Holland will join us when she gets in, I'll note that. Committee member Lugers?
Here.
Committee member Michelle?
Here.
Committee member Seabolt?
Here.
And if committee members Owen and Joan go in the hall.
Okay, first item on the agenda is public comment. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we will move on to the active transportation.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the council and committee. What we're asking for this afternoon is for you all to receive a presentation on the active transportation plan, including network and policy recommendations, discuss the proposed network improvements related to bicycle pedestrians and intersections, as well as policy and program recommendations, provide staff with feedback so that we can finalize the draft document for the public review. Before I get into the presentation, I do want to highlight, because there tends to be some confusion about different types of facilities, I prepared a handout for you, and I'll share that on the screen just to kind of run through a couple of items.
This one here, this one here?
Yep.
Not the slide deck.
Not the slide deck. We'll get through the slide deck shortly. And so here we go. So this is just a little handout prepared so that we can refresh folks' memory about the different types of bikeway classifications and other types of improvements associated with bicycle and pedestrian transportation options. And the first thing I'm going to run through are the different bikeway classifications. And right now they are listed in order of least protected to most protected, not numerical. So the first is class 3 bikeway, which is shared roadway, bike cyclists sharing the roadway with motorists. And this is markings the cyclists are allowed to share any roadway they use to ride on. So these are just markings to highlight that shared use. And so we have a variety of these class 3 facilities in town, and they're typically marked with sharrows and stuff. Next is conventional bike lane, which you're all familiar with. And basically what that is a lane line that separates the bike lane from vehicular traffic. So that's the class 2 bike lane. And then an enhancement of a class 2 bike lane is the buffered bike lane. And so we have a couple of these in town, most recently installed on Valparaiso. We have it on Middlefield and spots as well. We're moving forward with the buffered bike lane on Alameda. Then there's the next level of protection is the class 4 separated bikeway. This image that I provided for you here is actually taken on Woodside Road. So Caltrans recently installed that along Woodside. And the distinction between the protected bike lane or cycle track and the buffered bike lane is a physical barrier of some sort. And so in this image, there's delineators. Other images that we'll get through in the presentation, I believe, show a median island of sorts. So like on El Camino Real, as you go north of Redwood City, there is a separated bikeway with curbs that will ultimately have an exit. And then in other locations, sometimes you'll see like the big green bollards. And so that usually fits within the striped buffer. And then the most protective of cyclists is to have their own pathway, and it's typically a shared use pathway. This, I forgot to label it as class 1, but it's a shared use pathway where the cyclists and pedestrians are completely separated from the. Okay,
That's been done Martin Exchange.
And then just a reminder of different types of pedestrian and cyclist crossing signals. The first one is the Hawk Beacon, otherwise known as a high-intensity activated crosswalk or pedestrian hybrid beacon. We have several of these in town we have El Camino, where the pedestrian will hit the push button and it'll cycle through from yellow to red solid to flashing red and then back to open track. And so just a reminder for everybody, when the light is red, it is a stoplight. Stop at the stoplight. Once it starts flashing, it acts more as a stop sign, so you stop and then proceed. And then the other is the rectangular rapid flashing beacon, which we have again several in town. That's the yellow strobe lights that are activated by pedestrians to alert drivers of somebody wanting to cross the street. Again, this is a warning device. It is not a stop. So it's a reminding motorists to yield to pedestrians.
We have those at Valparaiso.
We have them on Valparaiso. We have one here on Fair Oaks. We have one at Middlefield and Glenwood. Fair Oaks and Station Lake.
Right here, at the train station.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have several of those in town.
What are we putting on Stockbridge and Alameda?
Stockbridge and Alameda will also be around. And then just a highlight of markings, pavement markings that we'll be referring to. There's the continental or ladder crosswalks. And that's the image here. We have all three of these things in this one picture on Middlefield Road. Just to highlight, so we have there the rapid flashing beacons at Glenwood. We have the continental ladder crosswalk crossing Middlefield and also crossing Glenwood there, as well as the colored pavement treatment highlighting the bike lane as it crosses the intersection, and then the advanced yield markings for shark's teeth, which are advising motorists where to stop in advance of the crosswalk.
I didn't know about what the shark teeth meant, so thank you.
Okay, and then just
I
a
drive
little,
over them all the time.
just a little table there. So this is just provided as some context as we move into
Does
the presentation.
this image show a curb ramp?
Does the image show? Yes, it does actually. Right there at the crosswalk. Here, I'll zoom in on this image here.
Yeah.
And so at the corners, there are crosswalks. So here is one for each side of this crossing. There's one, I don't know if you can see my mouse, at the far end on there, and then again on the Glenwood side, we have the curb ramps.
So just a comment.
Okay, unfortunately, there's no walkway that is connected.
So just a comment on this. So the majority of people that walk on the far side, and then they have to cross Glenwood, push the button. It'd been nice if we'd been able to have one over on the other side as well. Just so you know.
You're saying that because the crosswalk markings are on the far side, not on the close side.
Well, there's crosswalks all around, but
No, there's only one
there's
crosswalk on
crosswalk
Middlefield.
yeah, there's crosswalk on the north side of Middlefield.
Right.
And there's crosswalk on, going east-west on both sides. Those people,
No, a little.
I see, there's three crosswalks.
yeah, there's three crosswalks. Most
There's
people,
not a crosswalk on the south side.
That's his.
no, there's not, yeah. So there's,
And I think there's a reason for that.
well, if I can finish.
Go
The
ahead.
majority of people walk up on the south side because most of the people have obeyed the law with regards to open space that they can walk without, and there's no big trees and shrubs and things like that. as there are further down Glenwood. But then they have to cross Middlefield, or excuse me, cross Glenwood to push the button to get up. And there's been a problem, I've heard a lot of comments on it, especially during rush hour, one way or the other. There's people turning, and the guys turning, there's no way to stop that traffic. So there was a way that from the people that are on the south side of Glenwood to push a button and also have the flashing beacon. That would be a positive thing,
Right.
which I brought up when we
Yeah.
put it in, if I'm bringing up
This is-
again.
Hopefully, we're
So,
not
well-
going to dissect every intersection.
Okay,
Councilwoman
so
Whitmer.
I'm gonna say,
I know this is
we'll
near and
have
dear
an
to your heart,
opportunity to
but
talk
we need
about.
a global.
We'll have an opportunity as we go through the presentation to talk about what's recommended and to solicit feedback for incorporation into the
I
draft.
have a question though, since I wasn't on the council when this was installed. Why would we not have crosswalks on all four sides of an intersection? Is it because there's the turning lane there, or? Like, I don't understand. I don't
There's a
understand.
turning
I don't know if
lane
I'm
the other
opening a
way.
can of worms here. I don't know why that would be designed in such a way.
Like I say, sometimes when you have major roadways, it's safer to have the pedestrian traffic located on one crossing. The more controls you have, the easier it is to add more. And so at the time, I believe it was designed to kind of funnel folks on one side of the intersection. It's a very complicated intersection, particularly with the one lane in and out of Linden. And so there are cars that stack up either way, depending on whether they're trying to get in and out of the gate. And so it's a little, it's not an easy intersection.
We should move on, because
Yeah.
we're gonna have
Mm.
lots of discussion.
All right, so again, this was intended to provide just contextual information. And so now we'll get into the presentation. And so just a brief overview, we're going to provide a little bit of background, kind of go where we are in terms of the timeline of the project. Give a really brief summary of the public outreach and engagement that we've done. And then dive into the network and policy recommendations for your input and feedback. And then we'll go over some next steps.
One question though, Madam Mayor, how do you want to handle any public comment during the presentation?
Maybe we do two public comments, like one right now before the presentation, if there's something, and then we can do it after the presentation, and we will all do our questions during the presentation. Is that, we'll do our comments and our questions during the presentation, then we'll have more discussion after second public comment. That sound like a good plan?
Either that, or if you would like, you can, as we go through, for example, the pedestrian recommendations, you can get public comment
Okay.
and then
Well,
go into your
there's
question.
three
yeah.
significant sections, right? There's bike, there's intersections, and there's pedestrian.
Yeah, and then there's
Probably is
also policy
appropriate
stuff.
to let public comment occur at each one of them,
Yeah.
because
Okay, rather than waiting all the way
Yeah.
to the end.
Okay.
Okay. And so really, we're looking for feedback with regards to network recommendations, east-west connectivity through town. We have some feedback that we're requesting with regards to frontage requirements, with regards to what our codes are now and as development occurs and things like that, as well as policy and programs that we are looking to include into the final document. And so as a reminder, this plan, the Bike and Ped Master Plan and Active Transportation Plan, really serves as the primary policymaking document related to active transportation needs in town. This is used as a footprint as we develop our capital improvement program recommendations, as we look at grant opportunities. Having these having what the town's priorities are written in the document really helps staff move forward with recommending things or seeking funding from other sources. And in terms of as the priorities are developed and opportunities are developed for us to include things into our capital improvement program. Our first plan was adopted in 2014. It has not been updated since then. The general best practices look at trying to update these things about every 5 years. And what that does is, number one, recognize all of the things that we've accomplished since then. There's a lot of things that have been accomplished since that first plan was adopted in 2014. And so with that, the town executed a contract in January of 25 to initiate this process. And so that effort started with a listen and learn, basically soliciting feedback from our residents as to what routes are important to them, where they see problems, and where we could make improvements. That led itself to providing a document for with some alternatives for public feedback. That outreach was done, brought back, digested with some network recommendations that were brought forward to the Transportation Committee, and then for discussion tonight. Following this meeting, we're looking to develop the final draft document for review by the public and then coming back for adoption. And so that's anticipated this fall. And so our last outreach was done in October through December of 25, and that included a pop-up at the Spectacular event. We had 3 neighborhood focused meetings here in the council chambers. There was an online survey and email correspondence that outlined what feedback was. And really what we saw was support for walkways, particularly here around the town center, and providing access to schools, as well as some main routes like Alameda, Watkins, and Atherton Avenue, as well as Fair Oaks Lane and Station. What we heard again is that there's more support for bike improvements, for pedestrian related improvements over bike improvements, but really trying to make improvements along routes to schools and along Atherton Avenue. And there was a strong opposition to the bike lanes on Selby. And so what we're looking at, and other feedback were concerns about drainage, some additional safety improvements near schools, mixed feedback on speed humps, some proposed, some favored, some not, and then concerns about putting in chicanes was one of the options and the alternatives. And so really, as we took all of that feedback in, our consultant took that and focused really on improving facilities along main roadways, particularly in proximity to schools, improving facilities in high injury network locations. As you know, we have a local roadway safety plan that highlights our high injury network. And then also in response to our zoning changes and recent legislation, trying to make sure that we are addressing the needed facilities in front of the multifamily projects.
Robert, can you define a walkway and distinguish that from a sidewalk?
Certainly. And so if we are going to build a pedestrian facility, so here's an image, this is the next slide actually, delineating different types of things. So I think everybody is familiar with sidewalks, the concrete curb gutter. We have our only neighborhood that has sidewalks right now is Lloyd Park. That's distinguished from a walkway, which can be a variety of different materials. Along, Watkins is asphalt, so you can have a paved asphalt path. In our park, we have walkways out of decomposed granite. Decomposed granite is a little hard to maintain, it gets a little soft when it rains and stuff, so we're looking at, we are looking at alternatives for providing a safe, accessible, firm and stable opportunity for a pedestrian walkway. So if we put in a walkway, it needs to be accessible, it has to serve all users.
Thank you.
And so that can be done, like I said, with asphalt, it could be done with a bound gravel, or like we had up here, pervious concrete. And so I know that with our semi-rural feel that we have throughout town, the desire is to move away from just straight concrete and lot space.
Thank you.
So this is pervious concrete.
That's correct.
Cool.
Okay, and so a reminder again, shared use pathway is a mixed use facility separated from the roadway. Right now, we have a very limited amount, I think it's on Oak Grove, that is the shared use pathway. We'll get into the proposal, but there's a proposal to put one along Marsh Road. And then we have sidewalks on both sides in the Lloyd Park neighborhood. We're looking at a lot of recommendations for walkways along different routes, using the term walkway on purpose, and then sidewalks in certain locations around multifamily housing.
What do you call the right side of Watkins?
One more time?
What do you call the right side of Watkins? It's dual use now, even though it looks like.
No, the right side of Watkins is just pedestrian. Watkins, you're talking about along from the tracks down to Middlefield Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, so predominantly that's a walkway,
Right.
and the roadway is a shared, has sharrows on it, so it's a shared use.
Bikes on it all the time, that's right.
Okay, so this is an overview map. I'm going to be diving into a little closer view. And so this is just a reminder in colors and annotations. When it's solid, it's basically listing it's already there. The dashed would be proposed. And then the the reddish color in the map as we get through is a walkway on one side. The yellow would be two sides. The green would be the shared use path, and then the blue would be. And so this is a blow up of the west side of town. And I'm going to say that there are recommendations here predominantly for putting in walkways on one side of the street, and that side of the street is to be determined. It's not been defined at this point. But the main routes that folks are seeking that we've received input on are Alameda de las Pulgas. And right now you see in particular schools, the kids running in the bike lane and in the street, along Atherton Avenue, around the school, Sacred Heart Menlo College and Sacred Heart, as well as along Selby. And then with regards to sidewalks, El Camino Real has its own study going on. There are two preferred alternatives, both of which include sidewalk on both sides of the street, as well as at 99 Valparaiso, right address?
From 99.
99 Victoria, which has been designated as an SB 79 parcel. And so with that, the recommendation is to put the sidewalk on.
And that's right at the corner,
Right at the corner.
just right at the.
Are we going to discuss these one by one?
So I'd like to go through the next slide, and then the recommendation would be to get public feedback on that, and you can ask your questions, make a comment. We'll take that if that's all right.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so the east side of town, again, same color designations you can see here. There's a little more blue, which is the sidewalks, and then also the green designating Marsh Road, the shared use facility. So recommendations are a walkway on one side of the roadway for Fair Oaks Lane. Basically, that would extend from Middlefield all the way up to El Camino. Watkins Avenue, we have walkway on the stretch from the tracks to Middlefield Road, which you all have already approved improvements on in our CIP. And then there's a desire for extending that all the way to El Camino, as well as you've already approved or in the process on getting feedback on a project for putting in a walkway on Station Lane. So those are all already there. And then you have school routes, Encinal Elementary, so walkway on one side of the roadway on Encinal, as well as Middlefield Road, which you have in the draft CIP to start design on Middlefield Road pedestrian improvements. Other areas, shared use facility on Marsh Road, and then again with the SB 79 and multifamily housing, Laurel, Glenwood, Ravenswood, and then it's kind of we have Ringwood and Bay Road, which we have multifamily zoning on, but those streets are actually not down streets. So that kind of ends the high level on the pedestrian.
If I can get,
So let's do public comment first and then, because I think we will mix our comments and our questions. So let's do public comment first and then we can wow on this section. Anyone in the public want to?
Just comments on the pedestrian.
On the pedestrian facility only.
There's nobody on.
Great, okay. Eric had his hand up, then Jerry.
I just wanted to check, we don't have show anything on Bay Road, and I'm thinking about things that might be developed. Yeah, I know, but on the back side of Bay Road or
It's not our,
down towards Marsh on the right side of the road all the way down is ours.
it's green.
So right now, most of Lindenwood is walled off Bay Road.
Yeah.
And Bay Road is not a town road.
Okay, so when the developments start, there won't be any access on the Bay Road. I thought some of the access on Bay Road potential.
All the SB 70, all the RM10 properties on Bay Road have access in front to Bay Road.
And
They're right
that's
there in the
the
corner.
blue,
Right there.
that's the blue line on the
Okay,
map in the corner.
all right, that's great.
I can get my mouse there. There we go.
no, one time.
Okay. Okay, all right, thanks. All right, thank you.
Okay. We don't have anything for Oak Grove or Edge Road. These streets get more pedestrians than any other streets in town. Anytime you walk down anytime you drive down Oak Grove, you will see pedestrians. And they only have a choice generally of walking in the street. I don't know what you do about Edge Road because during school time, there are so many parked cars that if there was a walkway, they wouldn't be able to use it probably. But that is, people go slow enough. I don't know if it's unsafe, but there's all sorts of little kids walking on Edge Road,
But is
when
that
school
an
lets
Atherton?
out.
Is that an Atherton?
That is an
Yeah, 100%.
And
We've got-
it's kindergarten, but no,
and
this Oak Grove here, kindergarten through 3.
That's in.
Lindenwood
in-
in Athens.
So did you
Yeah.
guys?
I know, but it's Linden.
But Oak Grove in Lindenwood gets tremendous numbers of MA students that instead of walking up Ringwood, or they leave school and they walk down Oak Grove, or they bicycle down Oak Grove. And we get a lot of just people walking into Menlo Park up Oak Grove.
I agree with Jerry, and and the kids that are going to Laurel School are K through 3.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so, their parents are working with them, but they may not be holding their hand and they can be running out.
A lot of SUVs, that people running out of the community.
Yeah.
So why was that not considered? In our traffic and the transportation?
I think I can defer to Charlie in a second, but there was a walk audit done for MA. And that wasn't a highlighted route through that walk audit that indicated a significant need. Now, I'm not saying that it's not desired, And this is certainly an opportunity to incorporate that. But if it is incorporated, it would be beneficial to know how far along Oak Grove. Because we also have some other policy recommendations that may lend to facilitating access without having a formal walk.
So that,
Um,
I'm sorry.
and so, right now, there's a heavy pedestrian load from Middlefield into the school in a variety of locations, as I recall. And a lot of them come in through that corner of Oak Grove. There's 2 bus stops there. One across the street and then one across the street one way, and then one further down near the Bell, if I recall correctly. And then there's a large number of folks that actually come from the Ringwood side as well.
If I can, the pedestrian audit was on the 12th of September, 12th of August, before school started.
The walk audit for Menlo Atherton High School.
But there was a separate walk audit for the entire town in August,
Are you
Correct,
referring?
before school was in
before
session.
school
Sorry,
started.
referring.
Okay, I think you're referring to the pedestrian count that was made.
Pede-
Okay, and
Terminology.
that wasn't, it was related to, I mean, we did it concurrent with the speed survey, we collected that data.
Right, you did bicycles, pedestrians, and
Yeah, it counted those,
Right.
but there was an effort coordinated through the San Mateo County Office of Education to do a walk audit during the school year, and there were folks watching along Ringwood, Middlefield, Oak Grove to see which direction folks were coming into the school at the morning. Do you remember what time frame that was? I know it was during the school year, so.
It was during the school year. And it was during morning drop off. I don't remember if it was.
Was it last spring?
It was in 2025.
Yeah.
I just can't remember.
Well, I think the important
Yeah.
thing, the important thing to know is that this is a K through 3 school
On edge.
Okay,
on
They're
edge.
talking about the end.
so we're,
But Edge is right off of Oak Grove.
Well, so to Bill's point, when have we done a Safe Routes school walking audit with Laurel in recent? I know we've done Los Alamitos, Encinal, and NA in the last 3 years.
yeah, I don't recall doing Laurel recently. That being said, I think that, Chair Luger's comment, with regards to Edge is going to be a potential issue, because if we designate a side of the road that is a pedestrian facility, there's not going to be any parking on that side.
Well, there are no parking signs already, they're just
They
ignored.
just ignore
But to go back to Oak Grove, this 12 August pedestrian count, that number I thought was 200 to 300 people. I mean, it's a big number. So even without the MA count, there are a lot of pedestrians on Oak Grove.
So should the council and committee desire a designated route on Oak Grove, my generic assumption would be is likely be on the school side. Because that's where folks will be coming to and from, but the secondary question would be how far down Oak Grove would that desired designation be?
Or people from Lindenwood that are down, all the way down where it meets Green Oaks. They have little kids and those kids go to Laurel. So it's all the way down and they walk to school because it's not that far. And then the connection to Edges, I think, is key.
And I think,
And I'm surprised, if I can finish, I'm surprised because I put that on the surveys, Edge and Laurel, or Edge and Oak Grove. And I guess somehow didn't make the count.
I'm gonna ask a process question. So when we're flagging streets, we're not approving designs, because that is what, we're basically just picking streets that we think should be studied further when we'll allocate them money. So there's clearly consensus about Oak Grove and Edge.
But I think we should be discussing design. We have to talk about what we're talking about, not just
So-
a street.
That's what I'm asking,
Okay,
like how
so,
what level of detail are we?
I'll say this. This plan designates where you want facilities. It's not going to describe exactly what, other than the type of facility, what that design is, because that happens.
You got trees, you got poles, you got the power lines,
But
you
you,
got all kinds.
like I say, eventually you're gonna designate that, like I say, this here will service a footprint for desired improvements in town. So it's a policy document saying on this street, we want to see X. Okay,
So I just want to follow up, excuse me, Mr. Abadi, about design, since we're kind of talking about design. It's hard for us to approve, just go forth and conquer, but I want whatever design is developed to be beautiful and sensitive to our rural nature of our town and not just slap something, pedestrian, not to use.
You will see it through the design.
But we
Yeah,
really
and
need
so
to make
I'll
sure
give you
it's
an example.
beautiful.
okay. In this plan, we're recommending a walkway on Middlefield Road. In concept, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you talking about along under those trees that's kind of up,
That's right now, there's a dirt path
a dirt path?
that's weed ridden, et cetera, that people use as a walk, that walk along.
Right, right.
In the draft CIP, there's a project to design what that looks like.
Mhm,
I can't tell you right now what it's gonna look like,
right.
but you've said in that preliminary conversation that you would like to see a walkway along that road. That's what we're talking about. That you are telling us that you would like to see a walkway along Oak Grove, along Edge. We're not picking what it looks like right now, but when we get through that design process, you're gonna say, well, these are some concept designs of what it could look like, what's the preferred.
But I think what we do have, I hear what you're saying, and that makes sense. I do think though, along the design route, what we do have to recognize is that if we're gonna have a walkway on Oak Grove or Edge or Middlefield, it's going to take up space. So along Middlefield, I don't know if that means parking would be eliminated, because I'm not sure there is parking.
No.
But along Edge and along Oak Grove, there are cars that park there now. Right?
Because of
Very,
the
very
schools.
few on Oak Grove,
Right.
but Edge at school commencement and end, ton of cars on Edge.
Well,
Green
those
does
are
as well.
specific,
Both
places
they're not
have no
gonna
parking signs up.
commencement and this and that.
Right, right, I'm just saying.
Event oriented, you're gonna have masses.
And
of
so
cars.
that'll come back.
I'm just saying.
You know, I
that's
mean,
what kids are-
At
that's
some
fine.
point, it'll come back, and it's gonna come back in one of two ways. Further on, we have recommendations about us developing some generic standards that can be used. And so if somebody were to do a full site, for example, if we have these designated routes, we would potentially require, this is a policy thing that will come to the council at some point, do we require development if there's a designated route to build that improvement along that frontage? Okay, and so if that's the case, then we should have some sort of standard or guide of what that should look like. Giving flexibility to the property owners that as long as it meets X, Y, and Z, they might be able to shift it from being paved, this kind of paver to that kind of other product that meets our requirements. But what we're looking at right now is what routes do we want to see some improvement on? And so I'm hearing 3, 4 folks on Oak Grove and Edge.
Oak Grove and Edge, definitely. Edge is really a mess all the time during school time.
Eric,
So is that consensus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how Oak Grove, how the entire length of
Yeah.
Oak Grove?
From what I heard was at least from Oak Grove to Edge.
from
That
middle.
corner-
From
Yeah.
Middlefield down to
Well, we
Edge.
already have it from, there's a section like a block,
Yeah.
from Nativity, or Nativity Oak Grove.
Yes,
Right,
Yeah,
it's in
west
South.
of Middlefield.
West of
Middlefield
Middlefield.
down is Menlo Park.
For those that are actually out in that area, Jerry, Bill, or else, what about Toya?
Oh,
There's not as much, people that live on Toya would either walk down Ravenswood or go back down and get on.
Cause on the Menlo Park side, they use Coleman, right? Coleman is the busy street
Yes.
for
Yeah.
pets and bikes coming through, and when they get Ringwood, do they jump up to Edge, or do they continue with Toya, which is the closer street?
There's a stop at Edge, so you can return at Edge. The school put a stop
But
sign.
are you talking about
Pets and bikes, yeah.
pets and bikes?
If you
I'd
have-
say a lot of the bicycles are gonna actually enter Lindenwood on Frederick. Or they're gonna continue all the way up Ringwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then go.
Some
and then
might,
get
some
into the
might cut
parking
through
lot.
Edge or Toyon, but the majority,
If they're coming from the Bay direction.
yes.
Yeah.
I have a vague memory of Toyon coming up in the NA walk on it.
Cause Coleman's right
Right, but
there.
there's something desired on that street. I have no recollection of what this is, so this is not
Yeah.
that helpful, but.
So as I recall, I mean, there are recommendations for significant improvements on Ringwood. But Ringwood is outside of our jurisdiction. And so there was a study done by the county with regards to pedestrian and bikeway improvements along the entire stretch of Ringwood. And yes, in the walk audit, a lot of conversation was, yes, we need that there needs to be improvements. You'll see that it's designated as dashed on our map, but it's faint, and that's because it's not in our jurisdiction. We can certainly support the county, but it's not really a project that we can do.
I went to all those meetings for Ringwood. And they had specific 2 or 3 alternatives. And then it just died. It just shut down completely. And I talked to John Rangbine, who's the head of the San Mateo County Bicycle Committee, and he said, there's some change in leadership in San Mateo County and it's died for now.
It'll come back.
It'll come back, but
I think the,
So the proposal is to put a walkway on Edge, the entire length of Edge, and on Oak Grove from Edge to
Middlefield.
And if that is going to go forward, which I think is a good decision, when are we gonna notify the residents that are on those streets?
So as we develop this plan, and we make the draft, we're gonna do our releases advising folks that the draft plan is complete and ready for public comment. Okay, so we will work with the city manager's office to get that word out however we can.
So, but my question is when? Would that occur between now and when the city council starts to consider the actual recommendations, or is it gonna be after all of that is
No,
approved?
so we would prepare the draft document, release it for public comment, gather that public comment, and then bring it forward to the council for adoption.
it's gonna be 6-9 months.
Well, our hope is that the draft will be ready for the fall.
Fall.
Okay, we're hoping to get enough input today so that we can finalize that draft and release it in the fall when everybody's back,
Mhm.
get public comment, and then.
Even
come
though
back
we're
with-
adding this new dimension here.
So that would be included in that.
So Sam tried to talk earlier.
Oh, I was just saying that I think the focus for Edge is that it's the safe roads to schools,
Yeah.
not necessarily people trying to get into Lindenwood from our.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we have consensus on.
Okay.
Edge of Oak Grove.
Mhm.
All right, so I didn't really hear any other feedback or comments on any other streets.
Didn't discuss.
comments
Okay.
on other
Yeah,
things.
this was.
Comment on other streets?
This is the first.
Yeah, so do you want to start, do you want to focus on this side of the map and then move back to the other one? If that's
So-
okay.
So we're gonna talk through all these, and then at some point they get prioritized, is that
Oh, they're all going into the.
later?
Okay, so they all go into the plan, and we
Right.
have a methodology that was provided as to how we are going to prioritize. But we can't prioritize what we don't.
Right, I get that, I'm more like, that'll come back later where we'll decide like Fair Oaks is above, and so I'm not saying that's the case, I'm just reading from top to
So-
bottom on the map, but like, that's how eventually, and then we can,
It also depends on opportunity and
we can
grants
wiggle
and
when
things
it
like
comes
that that
to-
come up, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so when it comes back, the draft plan will have a recommended prioritization, and you can certainly take this and move it up or down.
I wouldn't call it wiggle.
we will.
We can
I'd say
do
we should
Adjust.
finish going through the items on the east side, since we've started on the east side. But we should go over every single recommendation on the east side.
Let's
and then
start
go to the
top to
west.
bottom, so let's do Fair Oaks, get consensus, then Marsh, then consent. I think otherwise if we're all just shouting doing all the streets at the same time, we're gonna get confused staff, so. Does anyone wanna discuss Fair Oaks Lane, object, support, yay, nay?
There's only one nuance that I'll bring you back to Fair Oaks later, and that's when we get to the idea about a signal on Fair Oaks.
Yeah.
That combined with what that needed to traffic at different times of the day, like right now, for example, I don't use the Fair Oaks at all after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because you can't turn left out of there. If there's a signal there, then that would affect whatever pedestrian thing we have also, because the traffic in the afternoon will shoot up. Right, people cut through there rather than, down farther, farther south. So just something to think about when we come back, but for right now, I like the idea of a walkway, because there's people pushing a baby cart up there on the side of the road now, all the time when I drive through.
Fair Oaks at Middlefield is what you're talking about.
Fair Oaks from Middlefield to
So-
here.
We're talking about a pedestrian walkway
Right.
on Fair Oaks between Middlefield and
Yeah.
the El Camino. So that would serve this,
It would serve the town center.
Which is
and-
important.
Which is important.
so,
And does that also include the, stop light?
That's
We're not talking about stoplights right now, we're just talking
We're not
about
talking
where
about
we want to.
intersections.
we're not
We
doing
will get to intersections, and I'm gonna highlight a couple things, just a reminder. You've already authorized a study to investigate rapid flashing beacons, hawk beacons, and signals on Middlefield at both Watkins and at Fair Oaks Lane. That study, initial study was done, presented to the Transportation Committee. It's going to be coming forward to you, I believe, at your regular meeting this month, to have a more in-depth conversation about what the findings were of that study and next steps. And so I don't want to get bogged down into, are we putting a signal in or not at this point in time, but really it's this, right now it's, where do we want to be able to provide facilities for folks to walk?
Then eventually, projects will matriculate into the CIP discussion and we will know stuff. Like, did we add a light?
Yeah.
How's that change things? So that's
Yeah.
why we're just
At some
picking
point,
priorities.
And so with regards to traffic signals, there are analyses that are done to project what the movements and changes are.
All I wanna make sure is at some point we look at all three at the same time, make sure that the interaction of all three doesn't change our opinion.
I agree.
If there's a light, it's imperative that there's gonna be a walk.
Right, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so how about this, just to like make us go a little faster? I'm gonna assume everyone is in favor of all of these. We're gonna go through all of them. If someone wants to pull one for discussion, we can do that. So Fair Oaks, everyone's feeling good. Marsh Road,
Watkins? No.
we're going top to bottom. And then we hit
right underneath.
Marsh and then Watkins.
She's going by the map.
I'm
not
going on
the
the
list.
maps.
Oh, no, you gotta go on the list.
Go on the list.
You gotta go on the list.
No, there-
It's right here, it's right behind you.
It's
Okay,
right, it's
all the way on one
Here,
side. Fair Oaks.
You have a.
We're having
Here,
a
you have
It's
the
in
precinct.
this.
There.
I'm looking at the screen because
It's the
everyone's
same
looking
thing.
at the
It's the
screen
same
is on
thing.
I'm looking at the picture, I will work
It's
on, I can
exactly
rework
the
this,
same.
perfect, we're gonna start with Fair Oaks Lanes, everyone says yes.
This is
Then
gonna
we're
take
gonna
5
do Watkins, and everyone is saying, yes, no one's pulling that, great, then we're talking Dinglesville, Station Lane's already
Yes.
in a study, so then we have Encinal.
Encinal already has sidewalks on the Menlo Park side.
So are you saying for the Appleton
So
side,
I
we should
don't,
not?
well, we're saying we're doing stuff on one side, so it doesn't make sense to me that we would be putting it on the other side as well, which is they may have to cross the street.
Menlo Park already has this in their plan.
Yeah, and they have sidewalks
There
on
are
this.
sidewalks on Encinal on both, on one side. and
Farther down, yeah.
It's
Yes,
chalk.
Yes, but we're talking about like along the neighborhood that's Menlo Park there, that there's no sidewalks
That's
and
two
that's the
houses,
problem.
that's two houses.
No.
It's like a quarter of a mile.
Marcuson, you're talking, you know.
Okay, fine,
Marcuson,
leave it in,
yeah.
leave it
And
in,
Rebecca
fine.
is.
No, but wait,
Atherton.
but right now, is there a sidewalk on
In
Ensign?
front of the school.
But not in front of the school, there's only like a little to the school from the corner on Middlefield, and then there's nothing.
Yeah, where the parking lot starts, there's no,
Yes,
there's
and
no
it's,
sidewalk.
and there's no, there
But
should be
after
a
the
sidewalk.
parking lot, the
Okay,
sidewalk
leave it,
continues.
sorry.
Well, but is the proposal to put a pathway on the other side of the street from the school?
Not picking sides,
Not picking sides. The assumption is that at this point, it would likely be on the school side.
to complete the.
Well, that would be Menlo Park.
It's our right of way.
No, that's
No, the entrance, we take responsibility at the school property on that side of the road. The rest of it's Menlo Park.
Yeah, all the way up.
And so you should be finding out whether or not Menlo Park's doing anything before we do something.
So when you go from Felton Drive to the school, is there a sidewalk? Like
Felton.
that's where the gates, like the Felton gates, isn't that where all the kids
No,
from
Felton Gate is at
Appleton
the
go?
far end.
There's two.
Felton Gate is way down here.
Yeah, Felton Gables, it has two entrances, and so are we talking about the entrance on the Encinal Elementary side or the one that's on the train track side?
Let me rephrase, for the kids who are going through the gate at Holbrook Palmer Park
Yes,
to get to Encinal, how are they
they
getting?
go through Felton Gables as a parent,
Right,
a kid who did that, and go along that
Remember this
road that
share?
shares
That's
Encinal
Felton.
Elementary.
Yeah, they go
And
right
they
up
come,
to
and
the
they
school.
come out right at the school.
That's not the problem. The problem with safety is not those kids. Those kids are okay, except for the parents who park along there that they're not supposed to. The problem is Encinal Elementary is for kids, Encinal Avenue for kids who are coming from the south who need to get up that street. There's a bike lane, which is okay for bikes, but then, is there a bike lane?
Yes, there
Yes,
is.
bike lane.
Okay. The
It's a glass tube,
The
bike.
pedestrians have to walk in the bike lane, sometimes on days where there's, trash pickup, the trash is in the bike lane. Parents who have to do that have spoke repeatedly to the committee about how unsafe it is. It gets really crowded with cars,
Are we Googling the map?
Yeah,
bikes.
that's,
But
that's,
I'm having
that's
a
in,
hard
there it
time
is,
seeing it.
right there.
So the message here, is that Menlo Park has been asked to put sidewalks. I've heard from Menlo Park students or parents as well. So the question is Menlo Park doing anything which is on the school side or are they not? Because they have sidewalks on both sides of the street, below the train tracks, as you know.
Once you
Well,
go over the train tracks, it's not.
I think the vision here is to complete the pedestrian network in front of Encinal School.
Right.
We're not doing the project tomorrow.
Mhm.
If Menlo Park says, we're gonna put in a sidewalk and it's gonna complete that network, great, then we don't have to do it in our plan.
Right.
But if it's in our plan, Menlo Park's not doing it, then it's a policy choice when the project comes out.
But then we're making a decision on the side of the road.
Yeah, so then we're gonna put it
But I think we've
across
got a
the street.
consensus here that Encinal should be, improved.
It's around the school, yes.
Yes, okay?
Okay, we're
Are we
doing
good
it,
with
guys.
that?
This is going
Middle
well.
field,
Middlefield Road.
Okay,
absolutely.
Well, Middlefield,
Walkway on one
from
side.
one,
We already-
from one end of the town to the other?
we already budgeted for that. in our
No, we
CIP.
don't have a budget for
Wait,
that.
what are we talking
Doing the
about?
walkway in the middle.
I don't think
Middlefield?
budget-
Middlefield.
Okay, so Middlefield,
Isn't it from, Fair Oaks to Ringwood?
no, so we already had, there is a walkway in front of the school from Ringwood all the way to Oak Grove.
You're talking about from NC.
And so what we're talking about is from Oak Grove going north
To Encina.
to, and as I say, we're gonna look at the entire stretch all the way to Encina. It may be phased theoretically to go to Marsh and then go further north in terms of implementation, but right now it's envisioned to look at that entire stretch.
We funded the study.
And so that is in the draft CIP. And so that'll be, I think, 300,000 funded towards design.
Okay.
Let's get to the shared use pathway class one, Marsh Road, yes.
Marsh Road,
Let's
we're
start
going down.
tomorrow, cover the channel, so we can bike and walk.
So I know the council received a presentation from the TA on their grant program, so.
What? I couldn't hear.
The council received a presentation at the last meeting from the Transportation Authority about a potential funding source to do an initial study of that, so that's something that we're looking at.
We've already given a tacit approval on that, because we told you to go get that free money.
Yes,
So-
absolutely, okay.
The zero match required design grant. Okay, so then sidewalk on one side, and this is for all the multifamily zones, the RM10 and the SB 79. So,
Well, I think we should condition that, that's part of the plan if and only if the multifamily gets built, because the multifamily is not zoned, it's an option,
Yes.
Mhm.
it's not exclusive.
Excellent, yes, perfect, yeah.
And it's just, in many cases, just one or two elements, so.
Well, yeah, because if it gets developed, then that would be part of that development. We're not
So,
gonna-
Right.
Cross that bridge when we get there.
Exactly,
Well,
It needs to be in the plan.
yeah.
Our
But it
ordinance.
can be in the plan that it is developed if and only if the multifamily is developed.
well, I think if George is trying to say is that if it's in our plan, they might be required to build it on their lot.
No, not as a single family.
Not as, that's only for single family.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna
It's
put the
only
caveat
for
in there,
10 or 17.
if we're gonna put the
I know, I'm
caveat in
saying-
there that if it's a multifamily development, these are requirements for that.
Yeah.
Consistent with our RM10 or SB 79 development standard.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that would be part of the development then.
Yeah.
Which is what we want.
Exactly.
So.
Yep.
And that's Laurel all the way down to Bay.
That's what we don't want, but what we would want if the development.
So
Well,
there's,
when I say it's what we want the
Yeah.
developer to have it be part of their project rather than us
Paying
be
for
doing it.
it has to be in our plan for them to.
okay.
Okay.
El Camino,
Yeah.
sidewalk on
Needs to
two
be
sides, I
Yeah.
think that's kind of
So,
out
okay,
of our hands. In a
and
sense.
that is matriculating separately, we're not talking about Camino today, right?
So that addresses which streets?
Laurel,
Glenwood,
Glenwood,
and
Ringwood and
Bay.
Ravenswood, right?
Ravenswood, Ringwood, and Bay.
Oh, Ringwood and Bales.
Okay, now we're going back to
Now we go
the
back to
west.
the west side of town. And,
So, and we're skipping El Camino, the El Camino. comment.
well, El Camino, we have the complete street study that was adopted. It's got two alternatives. And both of them include sidewalk on both sides of the street.
Yes,
The two preferred alternatives both include
the ones the council
the
adopted.
ones the council adopted.
Well, why wouldn't the one that's on the corner of El Camino and Glenwood, or El Camino and
Valparaiso.
Victoria Manor, why aren't you putting the sidewalk over on the El Camino side?
It is.
Doesn't show it here, but that's okay, fine.
Yeah, it's blue.
Or little blue dash is that?
So there's one blue dash that's on the Valparaiso side,
And-
not on the,
multifamily.
not on the ECR side.
Yeah, so basically ECR is listed as having sidewalk on both sides of the street per that other document. And so we didn't want to get into the nitty gritty on El Camino because that vision is
all part of the
Okay,
grand
so
boulevard.
part of
That's there.
the other effort.
Fine.
that little
Okay.
blue dot is the same thing as the Valparaiso, the bottom square,
Yeah.
where the R, that's
Yes.
79.
That's Valparaiso.
Right,
Okay.
that's what you're asking.
ECR.
Okay.
Needs to go around. Like it did on the other ones.
Let's move
Okay.
along.
All right, so walkway on one side, Alameda de los Otis.
Yes.
Does anyone object? Okay,
Absolutely.
Selby Lane.
They want a pedestrian path.
No, they don't. Who wants a pedestrian path?
They want a walkable.
No, actually, I asked at the last meeting we had, in front of Danielle's house, I expected that people wanted it, and the answer was no. She was there, right?
Right. Selby Lane is not asking for a walkable path. What they're asking for is speed adherence.
Speed humps.
No.
No, I don't want that
Those
either.
are-
Speed adherence.
I want a police car sitting here all day.
They want,
They want slower traffic.
speed adherence. There are a few people who want speed humps, but I would not say that
They
all want speed humps. That's, we are.
A minority wanted speed humps, in my
A
judgment.
very, yes, it's a very small minority. We are already putting in the, chief, help me, the cloud line, what are the lines called?
Fog line.
Fog lines.
And the crosswalk,
The
raised
advantage,
crosswalk.
so the advantage,
Yeah.
so if you've got a very wide street,
Of course.
The
Understand
fog
the
lines,
yes.
more narrowly define that, so they definitely want
Kind of
that.
gives you.
Yeah, they're not asking for a walk.
Okay,
They want, I mean, there's other things, but it doesn't have to do with pedestrian.
Yeah,
so we just delete this?
It's also a safe route to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but most of those kids are young enough that the parents are driving.
Present day.
Yeah.
Well, let's cross that bridge when it comes.
Well, the other,
Right,
We did
right,
it
right
14
now.
years ago.
the other thing
I
is,
mean,
When it was a
If
bigger
the school
school.
changes, we can cross that bridge when we get there.
Yes.
Right now, those children are so young, no parent is turning those kids loose on Selby Lane.
so I went out and observed for a few mornings, and I went to talk to the school. All the kids on bikes are coming in the other way from
The backside.
Woodside Road.
Yeah.
And,
Well, from that whole development.
yes, yeah.
So I have a question, because I
Got your
things can change with the schools. Selby Lane has been really clear, they don't want anyone touching their roads, but, so that's fine. But if things change with the school, if we delete it from the plan, if things change with the school, what happens? Do we have to do a full plan update? Or if leaving it on here means that gives us the ability, if the school change? I'm saying if the school changes, you guys, before people get all crazy. I
The
just wanna know
objective of the
process.
bicycle pedestrian or the active transportation plan is it's a guiding policy document. It helps staff apply for grants. And as Robert mentioned at the very beginning, the objective is to update that plan every 5 years
Right.
to address changes in the community that may have occurred, like school changes and such. So you can add things at that time, but it also doesn't preclude you from developing a capital project to add a pedestrian way outside of it. It just helps for grants and other opportunities.
At the moment, is there any plan to change the character and the age composition of that school?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay, so let's cross that bridge when we get there.
Cross it out.
I mean, I will say, I was surprised at the meeting that we had. It was an informal meeting, but there were probably 15 people there. And I was surprised at the number of people I specifically asked, because I know putting in a walkway is going to impact planting, and could impact parking depending on exactly where that walkway is, being close to the road or further away from the road. And a majority of people didn't want it. It's not
Right.
something they were motivated by.
And
I was surprised.
Was there anybody that has kids that go to that school?
No.
No, there's nobody in Atherton that has
It's
kids
just
that
the
go to school.
residents. The
Yeah, it's
conversations
just
that
residents.
I've had, over the last years, is that they don't want bicycles because they are a walking community. And the residents go out and they walk up and down Selby as their morning, exercise, or their morning meet and greet. So if they're not doing that, but they want a safe place to walk, honestly, if they change their mind, I'm just trying to
One of my
accommodate them.
One of my recent communications.
Yes.
One of my recent
City Manager.
communications with the residents.
Yeah.
On Selby, there was a question posed back to me, what's the, how do we get traffic speeds reduced? What are ways to do that? And
Right.
there was an actually study that was posted around by some of the residents on the street that
Yes.
talked about all the engineering solutions that could be used to do that, such as the fog lines for lane narrowing, a bicycle lane, create a buffer between the pedestrians walking on the side of the
Yes.
road and the travel cars as they go down the road. Those are all ways to help reduce speed and protect pedestrians as they're walking up and down the roadway. But if the residents on that street don't want it, trying to address the speed in other ways, we're not gonna post a police officer out there 24/7. That's not gonna happen. The fog line might help,
Yes.
speed humps might help, but they don't want that either. So it gets challenging to actually address their problem without addressing other issues.
So there are gonna be 2 speed humps with the crosswalk.
The raised speed
At
humps.
the school.
At the
At the
school.
school.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
And then the lines are gonna be installed, so we can kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
Because with this new technology, we can check it very
Yeah.
easily.
That's true.
So I realized we did not do public comment on this slide yet. I
On the
think
west
I
side of
s-
town?
We did public comment
For all
on pedestrian.
Yeah.
We did for all pedestrians,
Yeah.
we had the other slide up and I see a hand up here.
Much better.
So I think we, feel free.
To give you background, Atherton Town should have said to Redwood City School District, we want a neighborhood school on Selby Lane. We are a neighborhood. Atherton did nothing. So they changed that school totally from a neighborhood school where kids in Atherton attended. It is now a Spanish immersion school, and all the children are young and they're all driven there. If you go at 8 o'clock in the morning and see what our street is like, I was almost hit coming to this meeting today because people park right next to where we drive out and we can't see. So we have to noodle our way into the street. I was almost hit, which the police have put up a sign that says don't park here, but everybody does. It's an absolute traffic mess. And the town of Atherton made a huge mistake in not stepping up when they changed that school. But people that live in that area do not want a bike lane because of the traffic congestion. You really should see it. There's nothing like it in the Monterey County, quite truthfully. There's nothing like it. And when parents come to pick up their kids, there's a huge long line. And now a couple of the driving companies send their people down Selby Lane to avoid getting on to side road the normal way. So we've got all kinds of traffic. Yeah, that's a surprise, but that's the truth. So if people are using a guide on a shortcut to get to the highway, 280, they go down Selby Lane. So it's not a lane anymore. That should be called a freeway. It's changed totally. But people do not want bicyclists on it because they would get hit. And it's amazing that no kids have been hit so far because it is a major problem in this town. Thank you.
So
Okay.
I'm part of that neighborhood group, get all the emails. I have no reason to believe that the mood of the lane has changed from the meeting you and I were at. I think we can move on.
So from pedestrian standpoint, we'll take it off the list, right?
Okay.
All right,
I would suggest since we're updating this plan in 5 years, if you guys could do an audit with the Selby Lane School, because we have no data on that school. I hear it's not an Atherton school, that's fine, but it makes me,
Yeah, nothing's an Atherton school. Atherton doesn't have schools.
sorry. I keep hearing people say it doesn't serve Atherton students, and it makes me uncomfortable to be treating a school differently, whether or not Atherton kids or non-Atherton kids go to them. So I don't feel like at this time we have any data from the school on how their kids actually get to school because we don't have a walk audit or any recent information from them. So if there is a plan to update this plan in 5 years, during that 5 years, if the school can do an audit to inform the plan in 5 years from now, I think that would be helpful, is what I'm requesting.
Great idea.
Okay, I'll support you on that.
Yeah,
good idea.
but
Great.
just to qualify, we know how people get to the school. That we have, there's a whole organization of people who live in the area that have worked with the school over time and support the school economically. And we know how kids get to the school. They come in the bikes in the back, a few walk on up Selby, not most, almost all of them come to school by cars.
But you're saying
We
that
know
most of them
exactly
are
where
coming
they're
the
coming.
back end and not driving down from El Camino.
No, they're driving down from El Camino, they're driving both directions.
Oh, I
But
misunderstood
On the
what you said.
bicycles, they're coming in from the
Okay.
back end.
Okay. I misunderstood.
Right,
what you
and I
said.
think we have heard from my point is we've heard from the residents, we haven't heard from school, students, parents, all the people who are making that traffic. So we need a more balanced picture before we make decisions, is what I'm saying, and we have I'm requesting in 5 years, more data be received to inform the plan when it's looked at 5 years from now.
I agree with that, and if, even before then, if the age composition of that school changes, that should be a trigger for us to reevaluate.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't, we don't have to wait 5 years to reevaluate. But we can put a pin in it 5 years from now,
Okay.
okay?
Another street on this map?
Okay, the next one are,
How about any other ones that are on the list? Okay.
yes.
You wanna
So
talk
we're gonna
about
talk about
Alejandra Avenue? I'd like to talk about Alejandra.
Okay, so we're gonna, we
I'm
are
gonna do a little
doing
traffic
the
count.
order of the bullets. So the next one is Atherton Avenue and doing pedestrian facilities on one side of Atherton Avenue. Is there,
I've been thinking a lot about this one. I ran up and down both sides of Atherton Ave, and this street needs to be thought of with the bike potential lanes, if we're gonna have bike lanes or not, because you can't have both the pedestrian and the bike lanes. And now, I know in our meeting, Jerry, we talked about bike lanes aren't necessary and pedestrian is more important. I see most pedestrians on Polhamus and Tuscaloosa and Almondral going across east to west to the town. And Atherton Ave, less so, possibly because it's not fun to walk on Atherton Ave, but I'm leaning more towards the bike lane now, Atherton Ave, instead of the pedestrians. That's just me.
so, okay, really quick, before that was the one that very specifically we had to talk about for bike and pedestrian, so maybe
If
what
you
we
wanna
do is
defer
just
that.
pull Atherton Avenue wholly separate and talk about it after we've talked about all the pedestrian, all the bike
Great
stuff,
idea,
because I
Larry.
think,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, great, let's save that fight for later, guys, let's do Valparaiso now, and that is a walkway on one side, which is separate from the sidewalk on one side of Valparaiso in front of the SB 79 corner
Right.
to Victoria. So it's past Victoria.
Well, there are a ton of people that walk up and down Valparaiso.
And that has a bike lane, so I don't know how those all work together.
There's a sidewalk on one side.
Isn't there a sidewalk
Yeah,
on the
there is.
Menlo
Menlo
Park
Park.
side?
There's a
There's a
sidewalk
on the Menlo Park side.
Why do we need why do we need a walkway on our side if there's a sidewalk on the other side?
There you go.
Yeah.
What was the thinking of this recommendation?
It's for the schools.
Because of the schools.
It's the school.
Sacred Heart.
I mean,
Yeah, I know.
and
You
all
can
of the
cross the
entrances
street
are on our
sidewalk.
sides.
Yep, you know, at University Avenue. you
And
can-
when we get to the
Signal.
intersection, there's a proposed RFB at Elena, which is going into Sacred Heart, and I think
We have
that
a flashing
Emil
beacon
also.
also going.
I think though, the complaints that we get from the town are students that are walking not in or on those sidewalks. Because the schools are all on the town side,
Mhm.
they come right out of the school and they're walking on the path that's there along the school side. It's just human nature to do that. Is that something we need to plan for? That's up to, that's a policy decision, but
I think
Yeah,
it's a
that's
pretty
what
good path the way it is, actually. I mean, I walk it all the time. And it goes then up Emily, and there's a path on that snugs up against Sacred Heart. And so I don't think we need to invest any more money in it.
that's the policy goal.
Yeah,
It was that,
I've got the bike lane.
In the
Where it
dirt,
goes in and it goes around the tree and everything,
That's
that's
that
part
is
of the bike lane.
She's talking about the dirt. That's next.
I'm
to
in the dirt.
The dirt?
I think we can remove.
I didn't know that.
I do, I run in
appreciate
the
it.
dirt all the time,
So
yeah,
I think there's consensus to remove
In the dark,
Valparaiso.
in the dark, well,
Okay, so now we're moving on to Alejandra for a walkway on one side.
Alejandra's pretty tiny, it's pretty tiny. And with the college at the corner of El Camino and the amount of kids and people, that I count, we have dozens of people and people with little strollers and everything walking up and trying to, maneuver. And then people parking their cars and their vehicles and construction vehicles on both sides. And then there's only one lane, you gotta go around. I mean, it's very congested.
Well, how many people in the survey asked for that? I guess that's the
No, but-
question, because some of the
We're not going to the survey.
Yeah, some of the surveys that I've seen with respect to some of the recommendations that we got. If you say how many people actually took the survey and how many people picked this, it's like 1%.
No, let me tell you something.
And
So
it's
when
sort of-
school's in session and cars stream off of El Camino, come up Alejandra, and they cannot, there is a steady stream all the way down, and they turn onto Emily to try to get into Sacred Heart,
Yeah.
and they can't. And it is gridlock. I can't get out of the
This is a
driveway.
pedestrian.
Can I
I'm not
ask
saying that we should leave it on, I'm just saying it'd
I
be
have a
nice to know how many people recommended it, because I bet you it was like 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
We don't do stuff for 1 or 2%.
I
It's
have
not
a
cost
question.
money.
Was Alejandra flagged because of its proximity to Menlo College or because it's viewed as a route to get to Sacred Heart?
I'm gonna say this, is that it is a route to Menlo College, Menlo School.
Yeah.
And there are a significant number, as Councilmember Lewis said, there's a lot of I'm gonna call them kids, they may be college students as well as students from Menlo School, but they stream up and down that street, as well as access to Sacred Heart from at both Emily and Elena. And there are a whole bunch of cars parked on Park, which means that there's pedestrians along Park accessing the schools. So that whole circle there between Alejandra, Emily, Park, and Elena is predominantly related to school.
So, and the view is that, because Menlo College, the access is like right off it's only a slice of Alejandra. So the idea is that students of Sacred Heart and Menlo School are using Alejandra to get to school.
So
like, or on
Menlo
foot.
College has their dorms and parking lots and everything else on the Alejandra side.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a
And they-
whole
but do they
stream of
actually
students
walk? 'Cause
there.
Everyone's describing cars, so I'm
There's no
having
place to
some-
walk, you walk in the street.
Where cars
There-
park, you got
There are
pedestrians.
no,
Well,
there's,
Well, the thing is
North
that
side.
there's a difference between college kids walking on the street that hopefully have some intelligence and a kindergarten or a third grade kid, like we talked at Ed. And so,
I think that's absolutely true. But another way to think about this is if you have these in your master plan, and any of these schools develop, improve, or do anything that's gonna increase the intensity of their usage, and they're gonna bring more people to and from the school and move people around, we can require them to do those improvements.
but they're gonna do them only in their frontage. You're gonna
If it's a route to that school, there's an impact.
That's the way you're looking at it,
There's
because
also-
that's your suggestions later on in this presentation is that we stick it to the residents who are doing development, and their position is, why do I pay my taxes, even though we only get 8 cents?
The recommendation for the residents is to have that 6-foot clearance, not that they actually do the improvements.
Hey, Sam, what do you have?
There's also a hawk beacon on Alejandra going across El Camino, so pedestrians do come
Yeah.
across to Alejandra and then
absolutely.
Yeah.
probably need facilities to continue walking down the street.
Is there no walkway from El Camino to up to where Brittany Meadows is, for example?
There's a very short stretch within the school parking lot.
In the
So
school
from El Camino, I don't know, probably a couple hundred feet, if nothing, and then it goes into the parking lot and then it ends.
Mhm.
So that's that
By the
solid
tennis courts?
stretch.
There is a little sidewalk at the tennis courts, that when they developed the tennis courts, they did that little sidewalk, which is further off of the road. Yeah, like about. No,
So
it's
what
very
is,
rural, let me just say.
this
very rural.
proposal is a walkway on all of Olean.
It is one side of this, yeah, so it's from El Camino up to Emily.
Up down.
Not for the little bit, like a little turnaround.
I don't see any reason for a walkway from Emily to where the college stop, where Carson Field is. Why? It's not like there's residents that are using that to walk down to the Hawk Beacon to cross El Camino.
I walk on them.
Yeah,
I drive on Emily, there's always somebody walking and it's
oh,
like,
yeah,
it's like a driver's ed class.
yeah.
It's like, jump up, the clock up down.
And there's quite a big right of way
Yeah,
on both sides
yeah.
of Emily until you get to like, my house. And then there's not.
So I'm gonna say how I feel about Alejandra. It sounds like there is a need. Whether or not there's room is, I think, a future decision, and it should stay in the plan, and then someone else can look at it in more detail in the future.
Well, it's a matter of how it's prioritized, and what we're saying
Right.
is it stays on the map, but it should be a lower priority than some of the other ones we've seen.
We're gonna be rural, but we're not putting schools of cement down.
No, not
I like
putting
this.
cement down.
I like these little permeable.
No,
Looks like
no.
that.
No.
No.
Okay, I'm glad you agree.
Okay,
Not putting
nobody
it
likes
down.
it. All right, it doesn't matter, we're not making designs today, so
It's
Alejandra.
gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's gonna be beautiful.
only. Park.
Okay,
Yellow
so
brick, is that
we're just
what-
looking at maps, we're not
We should
talking
put
about design.
sidewalks all- what's in Odell?
We're gonna-
Odell should be fully sidewalk.
Honestly, you'd be careful, cause I wouldn't mind, on my cul-de-sac would be insane, there's no walkers on it, just loops.
So did that cover Emily Park?
So, okay, so I think it's, so Alejandra, Emily, Park Lane, let's talk about all of them together, cause they all are supposed to work.
And Elena.
And Elena.
Love
All of
Elena.
them together.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to pull any of them?
Yeah, you can leave the lane on.
No,
I'm gonna recuse myself from it.
Park is really wide and I don't feel like it's needed to have a walkway.
That's where
And
all,
the shoulder seems to be pretty open and not developed.
Yeah, I wouldn't develop yeah.
I'm in that neighborhood probably twice a day. I just don't see the need.
Yeah.
I don't see the need either.
On Park, no.
Elena,
Park,
I don't think.
Park and Elena, there's plenty of
Elena has,
room to walk.
is very
Yeah.
wide.
I mean, it'd be nice to have more of a path on Elena than exists. You
Well,
don't
because
have
it's
to
kind of-
dance around trash cans.
It's kind of rutted on Elena
Yeah.
because of the rain and the big trucks, because of all the constructions have created huge ruts.
when cars park on the shoulder there on Elena, both in the Menlo Circus Club, which is not dashed, and next to Sacred Heart, it's hard to pedestriate.
Yeah.
But
I like
yes,
that,
I knew
I've
you
never
were.
used that word.
You
I think that's.
And you know, there are cars that are parked there 24/7.
Really?
Yes, because they're guards.
Yeah.
Right.
I see a lot of kids going from Sacred Heart to the Circus Club.
Yeah.
So I think like.
They
if
park
we're-
But they
along
just-
the
they
Circus
just-
Club.
They just go through the back gate.
They
It's,
just-
it's not,
They go through the
trust
back
me,
gates.
it's not a
Yeah,
problem.
So we
But
move Park?
And in Samo, so I go along Emily a lot, often with a grandchild in a stroller. So I agree with you, a lot of cars park in the
You mean
adjacent to the,
Elena?
on Elena, excuse me. A lot of cars do park adjacent to the Circus Club. If you're pushing a stroller, you just go to the other side of the street.
Well, you're on the street. You can't push a stroller on that dirt.
I don't think that's
On
a
Elena.
solution there, Steve. That's a lot of street
It's not dirt on the
Gutters.
west side.
But then on the west side, there's some landscaping with lots of little rocks and stuff.
Yeah, that's
You can't
hard.
push it. So I bet you're pushing your stroller on the street or in the little gutter.
So it sounds like we all think there
Yes.
is a need for support for pedestrians on Elena and we will design it in the future. Is that what I'm hearing as a consensus?
My point was more like, we need a bike lane on Elena or or.
Yes.
Because,
I do too.
and then if you have a bike lane, then maybe you can walk or run or.
Then you'll get run over by the bike.
The bikes are, well, I guess the bikes
A
now.
battery.
Yeah.
So
So old bikes.
So you guys can answer this question, but
I cannot run a bike anymore.
Elena was just resurfaced 2 weeks ago. And it's in the process of being striped now. So is there the possibility of putting a bike lane? I didn't think it was wide enough. Is it wide enough? It's not wide enough.
I don't know that it's wide enough, but you'd have to do a whole lot of.
Oh,
We're not talking
so-
about bike lanes yet.
We're not talking about bike lanes yet, as the mayor said. What the intent behind this is to provide a firm and stable, accessible pathway along these routes.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing is people do walk,
Yes,
are either walking in the street or walking in rutted dirt,
absolutely.
which is non-accessible. And so the question that we're asking is, should these routes have something firm and stable?
That would be good.
Yes, so we're saying yes
Because
to
we should look
Elena,
at it.
yes to Emily, yes to Alejandra. I think we should include park because if we're doing the others, they probably all work together, and I think that's a study that designs it, and it's easier to pull it later.
And it's just that section between Elena and Emily on
Yeah.
Park. It's not the rest of the park.
That's correct.
Correct.
The other thing is, when the sidewalks are done in El Camino, then that becomes like a traffic loop for kids to walk in circles or whatever. I mean, they walk together, so it creates more traffic on those streets than they have even now.
Okay, so
they're all
everyone says
in.
yes.
So they're all in.
That's upside down.
And
They're all
then
in.
I think we've already built in approval for the SB 79 Valparaiso corner, and we're not talking about El Camino today, so we've done 2 slides done.
You've done the
No,
pedestrian.
we're not done. We
Two
didn't
slides
do
done.
Atherton Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Hold
yeah,
on.
well, Atherton Avenue was deferred
We have
to a
deferred
later
that.
part.
So I'd say in terms of the bike lane, since we're not gonna get through the bike lanes today, we should address Atherton Avenue probably at the beginning, so we can at least go through all the pedestrian issues.
Did we decide on the, how many,
Yeah, Almondral, Alameda de las Pulgas.
Okay, so,
You want to skip the bicycle?
What is that?
well, so before we close out pedestrian and from Atherton Avenue, are there any streets that anyone feels
Yeah.
like was not reflected in any of these 2 slides
For pedestrian.
for pedestrian? Okay,
And we did decide on Alameda de las Pulgas.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. One side.
Pedestrian on one side.
Okay.
But I do have an adjacent issue. It's not this plan specifically,
No,
but
you can't.
I have brought it up before, so I'll do it again. One of the biggest challenges we have for pedestrians in this town is we have live growth landscaping that goes right to the edge of the street.
Yes.
I can send you 40 pictures.
It's in it.
That's in the presentation.
But
That's in here.
we've all seen it. And I just passionately think we need to create a 24-inch buffer zone from the edge of pavement inward, so that if you are pushing a stroller, for example,
Yeah.
you have a place to go off the street when there's traffic. So,
I think it's
I'm with
in
ya.
our
I
deal.
think that's one of the,
It's one of our.
It's
We
one
have
of the
reviewed that
recommendations
earlier
from the
today,
staff.
so you maybe don't know that it's a future slide.
I think it's 5 feet though.
So here's my question, it's 4:30. Some of people have hard stops at
4:45.
5:45.
4:45.
4:45.
5:45 for me,
5:45?
5:45, 5:45.
Okay.
No, where did that come
That's what he asked.
I had it, I said I couldn't make this meeting and they said we'll be done by 5:45.
Well, let's just be done by
Downtown Menlo Park. I have another meeting.
So, I feel like we're all getting a little
I'm not gonna
chippy
sleep in
before we
bed.
get to bikes, maybe we should take a little cool down.
I agree, let's do Atherton Avenue, that way we get all the pedestrian and we get a start on the bicycle.
Okay, so we'll do Atherton Avenue, we'll defer the rest to our next meeting, which is
Will be
planned
rescheduled.
for.
So if you're gonna defer any of this to your next meeting, there's a hold on the July 1st study session to allow the council
Yeah.
to discuss it. It's not currently a joint meeting of the transportation committee, but we can make it a joint meeting if they would like.
Good, I think you guys should attend, it's useful to have all there.
Awesome.
All right,
Okay, so we're
bicycles.
bikes, just Atherton Avenue, and then we'll do the rest of the bikes, and also, to Steve's point, all of the frontage. And then there's also going over the intersections, and, or do we need to opine on, you have in the staff report all the prioritization matrix info of how you guys do that, or we don't need to?
You
opine
don't
on
need
that?
it. I mean,
Right.
unless there's an objection to those being used as the criteria, then
Great, so part two will be July, which will be bikes, intersections, frontages. And except from Atherton. Maybe we'll bring snacks. Everyone's feeling chocolate or sugars. Okay, so let's talk Atherton Avenue, both bike and pedestrian safety tied together.
there you go. So I'm just gonna give a brief intro on it. There's feedback that there's both a need for bike facilities and pedestrian facilities. There's been a significant concern about how much of the site get utilized if you try and implement both. And so we provided a variety of options. One is you can prioritize one over the other, meaning can put in bike lanes on both sides of the street, so we're widening the edge of the road to do that. Alternatively, the recommendation is to put with regards to pedestrian facilities, putting in pedestrian facilities on one side of the street. Or there's the hybrid approach where you widen one side to put in a bike lane. On the other side, you put in the pedestrian facilities and not further impact that side by putting in the bike lane, but basically putting a shared use facility, keeping the sharrows on that side of the street.
I'm confused.
Okay,
You need to restate.
so I will restate. Currently, we have sharrows on both sides of the street.
Yeah.
Okay. Can put a walkway on one side and leave sharrows on both, which is the recommendation that most recently came out of the transportation bike.
Okay, so the bicyclers are going sharrows with the cars,
That's
Yeah.
correct,
either way,
Okay.
both sides,
yeah, both
okay?
sides.
And there's never been a
And
problem.
putting in,
I ride down that bike, that railroad.
and putting in a
It's not
pedestrian
problem.
facility
On one side.
on one side, to be determined.
Mhm.
There are a couple of constraints on the roadway, particularly near the curve.
Hmm.
And as we approach the El Camino intersection.
Right.
Okay?
But those
Council asked
constraints
for us
have to
to-
do with bicycles.
What's
not-
that?
The constraints at the curb have to do with bicycles, not pedestrians.
The constraint at the curb has to do with any sort of widening. So it would theoretically dictate if we're
Widening.
putting in pedestrian facility, that curve forces potentially that walkway to be on the wider side, because there's a fence
Fence is really close to. the
really
road.
close to the edge of the
You
road.
can't walk on that.
So either we're
side.
shifting the road over or we have to do
There's
something.
already a walkway through, I walk this all the time. There's a
In front of
totally
one property.
defined walkway at 57.
And
Yeah,
Okay, so the idea though is to have a full, complete network street all the way from El Camino, all the way up to.
Without having to constantly cross your paths back.
Exactly.
Right, so
That would be
design to be determined later, but a confirmation of, do we want that pedestrian facility along the roadway? And, or do we want bike lanes on the road? And so to do bike lanes on the roadway, you have to widen essentially both sides of the roadway to put in a bike lane in each direction.
Instead of the sharrows.
Instead of the sharrows. Alternatively, instead of widening on both sides to accommodate a bike lane, you can widen one side for a bike lane and put in the walkway on the other side.
So have there been accidents and things like that between bikes and, on Atherton Ave?
Yes,
What's the count?
I don't have the count, but chief, there was one recently, wasn't there?
very low.
I mean, we're fortunate that we don't have a huge safety problem, but at the same time, we're forcing pedestrians to walk in the middle of every street,
Yes.
which isn't the safest thing in the world. And so we are trying to pick those network streets
Yeah.
that help facilitate safe, accessible travel without putting people in harm's way.
Well, I think.
I have a question, so I think, yeah, yes.
I think the Ashero on both sides is, as we have it today, is appropriate for Atherton Ave. It's a long street. A lot of guys use it, a lot of people, ladies as well as men use that, traverse that. And, you know, I personally have never seen any problem, but, you know, I take the chief at his word there with regards to that. I'm sure that some people do veer on the street, but it's never really been a problem for me.
I ride that frequently and I ride a lot. It's not a problem. Class 3 works. The biggest, the only issue lately is just a lot of construction.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of vehicles,
Yeah.
which actually don't interfere with bicycling because the right of way there is like 20 feet on the side. So
Bikes can't go on, I'm sorry, I also ride that all the time. I don't think a Shero makes sense, given how many giant construction trucks use it. I mean, when you're getting passed by a giant dump truck and you're on a Shero, it's very uncomfortable. There's so much space on that road. And what my question had been, because I think the idea of having a dedicated walkway on a street alternative to Atherton Avenue and having a bike lane on Atherton Avenue is interesting. I don't understand how it works for like my lot that is closer to El Camino, where if I wanted to walk from my house, is this assuming I'm, for the people, how do Atherton Avenue adjacent people get to the walking of the other without a pathway? It gets tricky, I think. But I think for me, I took my 5-year-old on Atherton Avenue on Memorial Day weekend. And that's the only time I will ever take him on this road because it's too busy otherwise, which means, and I know a ton of people who have children who cannot come to 3 o'clock meetings on weekdays because they're picking up their kids from school, but they would like to ride the streets with their children. And Atherton Avenue is a very critical junction between other established bike lanes and not having any connection for people who are not experienced riders is a safety problem. And it is a problem that is we're not seeing people on bikes because people don't feel safe riding their bikes on these streets. And so I think there's a difference of how we should be approaching this, of do we want people to feel safe on our roads using not cars. So, and as it relates to pedestrians, since I also live close to Atherton Avenue, my origin story of being on council is because I was pushing a stroller down Atherton Avenue, having to crisscross across Atherton Avenue because there's so much mud and gravel. And so I was pushing a stroller, a wheelchair. I saw people in wheelchairs in the middle of Atherton Avenue being passed by dump trucks. And this is during COVID shutdown, so it was not as much traffic, but we're not making that road accessible to people besides cars or people who are experienced bikers. And I think that is a problem.
One of our focuses is crosstown connections, and that Atherton Ave and Fair Oaks, I know there's not enough room for Fair Oaks to have a walkway and a bike lane, but that would be our cross-town connection. Those are the best streets to have as a bike throughput way.
And it gets the people
Frankly,
to
a
hear.
much safer throughput would be Watkins coming up to Isabella. And then you can connect up through there. And I mean, anybody having a 5-year-old ride a bike on Atherton Avenue is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It's
Watkins,
might as
I
well
don't
do
know.
El Camino and enjoy it.
I would, if I was gonna take a child, I would go down any street rather than Atherton Avenue.
Yeah.
Because there are streets that just, it's a normal cut, I wouldn't say cut through, but it's an arterial or whatever the term is, to get one to one side of the town or the other. And,
If you don't
and
use.
so you wanna use more of a neighborhood street like Selby or Stockbridge or something like that, those are better choices.
It's hard to get there because there's no cross street or across El Camino. So El Camino, you can have Atherton Ave and Fair Oaks, you can have Maple and Maple, you can have the
But
Maple doesn't have a light, so like pretty much the light is at Atherton
Isabella.
Ave.
I'll come back to
Isabella.
what the residents say. They don't care that much about bicycles. They're more interested in pedestrians.
Exactly.
And we've got, Woodside Road is now a class 4 bike lane. We've got Valparaiso's a class 2 bike lane. And I think, and I ride a lot. I think those are sufficient.
So I have a question about the overlap here and maybe it leads to a possible solution. So right now we're looking at having walks of pedestrian upgrade or some kind of thing to Austin Avenue. And Austin Avenue, that also has pedestrian connection on Almedrol.
No, that's not Austin. Is it?
Whatever.
Austin
I don't
is
think
a
Austin is on
shared
this little
use
map.
bike route.
That's the,
So
that's, so
right
that's
here.
the existing peninsula bike.
Yeah,
route.
Oh, that's Austin halfway up Selby.
Yeah, but that's just the shared use roadway.
Okay.
Right.
There's no change proposed for Austin.
Okay. What I'm looking at is whether or not if we have
Right.
pedestrians down to Atherton to that point and then over to Amadrol as a way to not have the pedestrian traffic take up space on the little curve spot on Atherton Avenue. So then there's a jog for walkers around, but there's not a jog for bikes.
The challenge is El Camino.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, there are alternative walk paths if already planned. And if the bike curve is the issue, then that one section is.
There is no alternative pedestrian facility across town. I think you're looking at the bike lane.
Well, I'm looking at the bike path, we're talking about the possibility of a bike path and what I'm talking about is a possibility of a bike path and a walking path on Atherton Avenue so that somebody can go end to end if they wanted to, but they'd have to take a job.
There's lots of ways that people can get around, it's just that it's not going straight.
Yeah.
And if our goal is to say, everybody can just walk straight and they can get to wherever the heck they want, then we're gonna have to do every street. If we're gonna say, well, where do we really see the traffic and all that other stuff, then, some people may have to take different routes.
Yeah.
So like, I don't come here on El Camino, I come other ways.
So let me say something about Atherton Avenue. I walk it all the time. I don't ride a bike on it, but I see lots of people riding bikes on it. And I think the people I see that are currently on it, on their bikes, do very well with the shared use of the road between vehicles and bikes. I think that putting a walking path on Atherton Avenue would be an improvement, but it's true that there's been a lot of construction on Atherton Avenue, and when you have construction on one side of the street, if there's a walking path there, I don't know how you're gonna deal with the parking, and right now, when, like, 170 Atherton Avenue has got these two big houses going up on them, I have to cross the street, right? I walk on one side of the street until the material you're walking on is uncomfortable and I cross the street. That's a drag. I agree with that. I think it would be an improvement to have a walkway. And there are properties on Atherton Avenue that have very nice off-the-road walkways, but it's one property, not continuous.
Right.
I do think that if we try to put a dedicated bike lane on Atherton Avenue, you're gonna find the reaction of people who live along Atherton is gonna be absolutely identical to what happened at Selby Lane.
Yeah.
There is going to be an outpouring exactly like we experienced in Selby Lane. I know, because there was this discussion about 5 years ago. And that's when people started to get organized on this, and then it went away and they stopped. But we'll have exactly the same things we had on Selby Lane. It won't get built because there'll be enough reaction.
I agree with you, and I think the consensus is that Sharrow's on Atherton Avenue for bikes is fine the way it is.
Right.
What we need to do is figure out the walking path. But my question is, how many people use Atherton Ave as a way to walk down to get from El Camino to Alameda de los Pulgas and then to Woodside High or something like that? I'm not sure. I think people walk for their exercise. It's recreation. It's like neighborhood. They're not using it to get from point A to point B. And so
it's recreation, and they walk it when they don't want to walk in the road on Stockbridge or Almondale.
And so to keep it beautiful and homey and residential, I think that's what we need to do, and safe, of course.
That's why I switched from thinking that we needed a pedestrian pathway on Atherton Ave to the bike lane, because the bikes are going farther, they're going faster.
Right.
It would be better to have a bike lane on Atherton Ave than put a pedestrian.
Yeah.
A specific pedestrian pathway. Also, we're talking a lot about that really wide Atherton Avenue portion, but that curve and then from the curve to El Camino is the tightest area, and maybe we should focus on what needs to be there.
Maybe we need to kind of take some,
Don't say the word eminent domain.
I was trying
So
not to.
I'm gonna preface, we have,
Wait, we have, yeah,
Trees there.
I just wanted to,
through the mayor.
through the mayor. In the proposed capital improvement program is a review of the intersection of Atherton Avenue and El Camino.
Okay.
That's a whole different issue.
Understood, but
It should inform.
theoretically,
Mhm.
we can spend some of that effort looking at,
Straight.
depending on what you want to see on that roadway, looking at a stretch going a little further. It may cost a little more to do the analysis, but we can take it up to the curve. Because if you're making any alignment adjustments, it's gonna go past the intersection. So I'm suggesting that as, I know that that's the pinch point and it's a difficult thing, regardless of what you put, bike or ped, it's tight.
Yeah.
And so we have an opportunity through that other analysis to stretch it a little further.
What is the width of the Cheryl presently on
There's no width
It's
on
just-
Cheryl.
It's just part of the
Cheryl.
road,
You're talking about the
the
road.
lane.
the lane? Sorry, my terminology. is
Yeah.
awful.
So generally speaking, I think Atherton Avenue for the most part is about a 12-foot wide lane.
That's huge.
No, that's
Individual, one way.
Individual
Each
each
direction.
way.
Yeah, so it's a wide lane.
And the right of ways.
And the right of way is like 60.
It's so wide.
And that's why you have, with the exception of around the curve, that's why you have almost 20 feet on the side.
So how controversial or awful would it be just to widen Atherton Avenue so that if you are on a bike, you feel safer in that zone?
I'm saying, I'm gonna let you guys talk, just let us finish our questions really quickly, and then I'm gonna do public comment. Does that work?
do it.
Well, this isn't an electrical.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait, I'm saying you will get your time to talk, just let us focus on questions, so it's hard for me to hear you guys and hear the answers at the same time. So let us finish questions and then I'll do,
How long will it be?
I don't know,
With all,
But we'll
due-
get to
with
you.
all, with all due respect, we were invited here to be here at 4, and our issue is only at 4:15. So it was told to us that 4:15 is going to be when it starts. It happens that's not the case. I'm still here. So I'm happy, of course,
Great.
please finish.
I don't know who invited you and why they told you 4:15, so we're gonna get to you, but they're,
Rick,
okay, so we'll get,
alright.
Rick said 4:15. So,
It's him.
okay,
Good job,
so,
Oh, yeah.
all right,
Wait,
it's been
sorry.
disruptive enough. I would love to hear all of your public comment and then we'll return to the questions, if that's okay, since we've already
You
interrupted
hear
this.
from Ellen?
So,
That was yesterday. 4:15 was yesterday.
are you talking about the construction related
Correct,
issues on
yes.
Melanie?
Yeah,
That was
that was
yesterday's
yesterday.
meeting.
Yeah, we had that meeting yesterday.
We're talking specifically about Atherton Avenue.
It was at 4 o'clock on the 3rd rather than 3 o'clock.
Okay, so there's a misunderstanding. We understood it to be the 4th
Yeah.
today.
Sorry,
No, it's
Okay.
Two meetings this week.
yeah.
Yeah, we've had 2 meetings. Yesterday was,
Okay.
had the construction.
Given we're here, can we still make our points known?
In the
regarding
public.
Well,
'Cause
we've
They have a
already,
right to
We live on the
comment
street.
things.
This is a representation of about,
so, okay,
this is a
so,
representation of about 30% or 40% of the street over here. So I think
so
that,
I'm so sorry, you guys, we made decisions about that yesterday. So I think it's coming back to the council, what was decided
Probably.
about a lot of the construction related issues. We made a lot of changes, so you guys should look at that. I'm sorry that were told the wrong date. But we did make a lot of decisions to try and address that, and so hopefully we've already done what you're hoping that we did.
You wanna send me an email,
So-
I'll give you my card? I can give you a summary of what was.
we have
Yeah,
recommendations. I don't know how you could have heard our recommendations.
Anyone talk
with
about
name
any
that.
issues
You
now?
can, it has to be for items that are on the agenda, this is a
That's
special
It has to
meeting.
be items on the
Yeah,
agenda,
so I-
and that's
we-
not on the agenda.
I'm really sorry that you guys were given.
No,
It's for
it has-
items that are on the agenda, and right now we're talking about Atherton Avenue bike lanes and pedestrian pathways. So I would love your comment on this issue, but for items not on the agenda, if we let, that's just the way it works legally.
I understand that, but I
So-
thought it was for the 4th. I mean, but I want to do something direct, because he's been the only person that's communicated with us for the whole,
Okay,
so I appreciate that.
Why don't we go outside and I'll tell you what happened yesterday, because it's 100% what you wanted to have happen.
Are you on our feet?
yeah, we made a lot of changes and I hope we did it, but today's meeting is,
I'm gonna have, this is what I'd like you to pass out.
Hoping for oversight.
thank you.
Just put it on.
Okay,
I'm certainly
We'll wrap-
listening to it there.
Okay,
I
so.
know this, I'm trying to run a tight meeting, we're doing a,
So you were, Steve, you were saying that.
how dare I?
So my
Everything
my
we
question
wanted
is.
yesterday.
What would be the degree of difficulty to widen Atherton Avenue? So bicyclists feel safer as huge trucks are.
I'll be quite honest. A narrow road is actually better.
$6 million.
But a narrow road has advantages, because when you're off riding a bike and somebody says, oh, I can squeeze in and stay on this side of the line on a wide road, I'm gonna do that. As opposed to a narrow road where you go, I've gotta go over the double yellow or the single yellow. I'll wait until a car's not coming by.
Or I'll
Thank
honk
you.
at them 3 times and make them go over and I'll still honk at them.
And
because
yeah,
they're
and that's
over cars.
why you'll see bicyclists kind of get away from the edge of the road, because we want to force you to go over the center line.
There is the 3-foot rule for cyclists, which are sometimes obeyed, sometimes not. And it's the issue we're dealing with on Selby with respect to the fault line installation.
Yes.
That narrows the roadway.
Yes.
And gives pedestrians a safer feel, slows down cars.
Yeah.
But if you widen the roadway without that fault line,
You make it work.
cars,
Sorry, I wasn't clear. Yes, you widen it, but then you put in the fog line.
which is essentially a bike lane.
You're talking
Looks
millions of
like
dollars.
one, but it's technically one.
Well, if you
right.
widen the roadway.
It's not worth it.
Oh, and then you can make it a bike lane,
And
yeah.
make it a bike lane.
Right, and then make it a bike lane, we'll give a.
Exactly.
Yeah, I,
Okay.
not go through.
So to answer your question, physically, there's enough room, but to the vice mayor's point.
Yeah.
To do it, we would physically be widening the road to put in the bike lanes, which means that everybody's frontage along the stretch would be impacted. A lot of it is dirt and gravel, and some people have other things.
The Vice Mayor also made a point, which I've heard from a lot of people on Atherton Avenue. So we should do the right thing for the town. At the same time, I think everything that we experienced on Selby, we will experience in spades.
There's lots of streets that are exactly that way.
If we do anything on Atherton Avenue. So you go that course, buckle up.
You know,
Should we say that if there needs to be a bike lane and we should have it in the plan, and then when we get to funding it, then we can discuss how much it costs and whether or not the residents are really mad at us.
I
or
personally don't think we should put a bike lane.
I don't
A dedicated bike lane, on Atherton Avenue.
Safer pedestrians, but not.
Yeah,
But you
safe for
don't even wanna
pedestrians.
have it as a, like, you never wanna have a bike lane?
Not at this point in time.
I mean, we
Look at it
can,
in
we
5
can,
years.
just, these
Okay.
decisions can always change.
Right, but if it's not on the plan, it's not gonna
The
ever be
change, but you
discussed.
can, the council can add things to the plan.
We can take them away too.
Yeah.
And part of the challenge that staff encounters is what we encountered when 170 Atherton came forward with the 2014 bike bed master plan. We had a bicycle route.
Right, we did,
And a
yes.
bicycle lane on Atherton Avenue. And Public Works staff, when 170 came forward, said, oh, when you do your frontage, you need to make sure that you plan for the possibility of a bicycle lane because it's in the town's policy document. That would have happened if we included in the bike ped master plan, the bike lane on Atherton Avenue. When a development comes forward, we're gonna tell them, you need to plan your frontage to accommodate a potential future bike lane. If it's not in the plan, we don't do that.
I don't think it's necessary.
So, I think Atherton Avenue, before and after, I call it the wiggle, you guys call it the curve, are very different biking pedestrian experiences. I live on the narrow side of the wiggle, which also has all the traffic backup from the light, which makes it even harder on a bike or as a pedestrian. So I'm wondering, I mean, does it make sense to separate that, to have it be, figure out a solution for the narrow part and then have it feed into the Shero for the wider part? I mean, that's like the super complicated part of it. So
The challenge is how much space. Unlike the rest of Atherton Avenue, there's plenty of space and you can figure things out one way or another. Without additional property, you get one or the other. In that narrow stretch, you can't fit both. It's just not physically possible.
And so you put signs up, single lane, car, bike, be careful, caution. I mean, it's like a European road.
There's nothing wrong
I
with
mean-
having a Shero on the circle, on the curve, and then turn
I
it
just
into
read
a
the middle,
class.
I don't share road for the middle, I go in the middle.
The thing is, when it's backed up like that and you're on a bicycle, you have to sit
You
in
just
with
sit in
the
traffic.
cars, you can't go around there because there's not enough
Yeah,
room.
right.
So if you have a bike lane there, then you can go on the bike lane and get to the light and do your business on the other
But
side.
you don't have room for.
So is there like
You
room
have
for a
room for one
shared
bike
path? Like a mixed, right, so Jerry rides in the dirt, I'm not that brave, so is there space to do?
Not a legal one.
Not a legal one. Even in one direction,
What is
because
the-
this, like going towards Alameda is not that bad, because it's not impacted by the traffic backup, it's going towards Alameda.
You're talking right from the beginning all the way down.
From the
through that.
wiggle
Yeah.
towards my side of the street.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so I'm just,
Yeah.
it's not safe
It's kind of-
for both bikers and pedestrians.
So I think that we can do a stretch on the study for that. Right? You've approved a review of the intersection, we can try and expand that up to the curve, the wiggle, whatever you want to call it. And we can designate that a separate study will be done for that stretch.
Okay.
That is a short stretch in comparison to the rest of it.
Yep.
So
Yep, yep.
if I can get an answer or a recommendation on the rest of it,
Okay,
because that study is not gonna go past that.
I think,
I think Sharon's
Mr.
sort
Ball
of
is
later.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
great, so we're gonna
It's 5
move on
o'clock.
to El Camino.
so,
But we're talking about the
so
Meeting to
what
adjourn.
I'm hearing,
Call for
what I
motion
think
to
I
adjourn.
just heard is we will evaluate what we can do from El Camino to Wiggle. From that point, Sharrows plus walkway all the way up
I would say
to
through the
Alameda.
wiggle.
Yeah.
Yes.
End of the wiggle.
Got it.
What's the vertical line in the,
Alameda,
no, not,
The orange one.
this one?
Yeah,
Sure.
that's the.
That's
Austin's-
Sharrows on Polina.
Yeah, those are sure.
That's there are signs along that route to
Not
say
yet.
it's like the Bay.
No,
like
that-
Bible
that's
route.
Austin.
That's Austin.
He was asking about
Oh.
the orange.
This
No, I
one,
was talking about the
this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
That's the
Peninsula Bikeway.
And there's
Sharrows.
signs. to mark
That's
it.
Sharrows demarcated and their signage.
All right, so the plan would, so the short plan would be from that spot to El Camino, right?
No, the short spot is, call it, near is it
Going up here.
just past Mercedes?
The other end of the wiggle,
Yeah,
where
she's going
the
here.
road widens.
Well, it's
Just a
57,
section.
Wiggle's 57.
This is where they're talking about.
Yeah.
57 Atherton Avenue is on the south side.
All right.
Yeah, that pink
That's a
line
modern
is likely to change with El Camino's improvements, right?
At some point.
Well, it's-
At some point.
It's from the county. We
So-
didn't.
But when
Doesn't
Redwood
matter.
City does their bike lane that ends
Mhm.
right around Sullivan Lane, that theoretically could get
So just to catch up,
Easier.
Vice Mayor, it is to expand the study that we're currently doing at Atherton Avenue.
What Robert suggests,
To do through the Wiggle.
great idea.
And then for the remainder of Atherton Avenue, from that point all the way down to Alameda de las Pulgas is Sharrows and consideration of a walkway.
What does that mean, consideration of?
A walkway on one side of the
To
road.
develop a proposal, a design.
Or walkway on one side.
In the right of way.
I have a question. Who's more afraid of the other person in a bike lane? The bicyclists of pedestrians or pedestrians of bicyclists? I mean, why can't that be informally shared?
Oh.
Informally shared,
You don't wanna have
sure.
a-
Officially shared,
You don't
no.
wanna
I
be
think
walking
it's- I
and
think
get
it's
hit by a bike.
I
'cause
don't wanna
they'll
be
hit
walking
you
and
right
getting hit
there.
by anything.
Well,
So
I
my
understand,
question-
but there's been a lot of accidents in other areas where I've seen where the bikes and the people are sharing and people are getting hit right in the kidney and
Okay.
they're dead before
I
they get
agree
picked up.
with, I understand what you're saying.
That's how I feel
and I
about cars. and
appreciate
cyclists.
that.
Exactly.
But if we have very limited, well, right, if we can agree that the people who are walking on Atherton Avenue are all local area residents out for recreation and enjoyment, and that's, you know, they're picking a path that's either convenient or pretty or both. Cyclists, I do think that, you know, there's a mode of transportation there, and they're getting from El Camino through the Wiggles up to who knows where, right? I think you see, so my question was, who's afraid of who in sharing that? And if there is room to share, and if there is, I think that, what Mr. Roderick said about the permitting process, retaining that right of way in the construction plan might behoove us in the long run, maybe not next year, maybe not 5 years from now, but maybe 10 years from now. I think, and I know that's cyclical, but if you look at gas prices on the rise, and you look at the use of e-bikes and e-powered things,
Mhm.
there will be more wheeled, human-operated, non-gas powered vehicles, e-bikes and crap, coming up and down Atherton Avenue. I think that it's worth thinking about that amount of traffic and all the support that our residents and homeowners enjoy getting from El Camino on one of those things up Atherton Avenue through the Wick.
I could only hope that, you know, that more and more elderly people are riding bicycles, but I'm afraid that the gentrification of our town is outpacing the new births and the little kids.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's a different thing, but I think that there are a lot of, I think a lot of folks in town enjoy help from, you know, a hired hand, right? And I live on Stockbridge, I see a lot of
Right,
folks
you
coming
mean
up
the
and down.
service workers.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think those folks exist. I think those folks were a big part of putting the HAWKs or whatever the acronyms are for the lighted
Across the
stoplights.
streets.
Stoplights, but also on El Camino as well as, the Circus Street. So we're making some plans to move people in that mode around town. I think that's good. I think that to totally dismiss the tools that the town has to retain part of that right of way for new construction on Atherton Avenue might be a bit of a miss.
To answer your question, from my perspective, riding a bike, I'm more concerned when I see residents walking in the same space, especially if they're kids, because they'll make an unexpected move out, and then you have to, especially, no matter where you are, you gotta move one way or the other, or you slam on your brakes, which, that's also a problem. So, who's more afraid? I would say I'm more cautious when I have pedestrians walking in the same area, okay?
Sure, no, and I completely agree. I, for what it's worth, do the same thing on whether I'm walking or riding a bike or driving a car. It's, give those folks as wide a berth as possible. I'm not afraid to go over that line.
Yeah.
But, cause I think that you want to give, because you don't know what they're going to do and probably nothing 99% of the time, but it could happen. So I get that. But I think having the ability to pursue something and retain that for the town in the permitting process.
It's beneficial.
Seems beneficial to me.
So that is on your list of things to talk about. I think though we can probably get through all of the bicycle ones pretty quickly if you want to let me run through that fast.
So what are we
You say you
deciding?
do a better job than me, George?
I think I can on the
I think you
bicycle one.
definitely Let's do it.
So what is our?
For Atherton Avenue, it
Thinks
was
we can finish.
No, right, what are,
just trying to get through the bicycle ones and then move the rest of the meeting to July 1st.
So what was the final decision on what, how are we gonna have to?
Atherton Avenue was,
Wiggle
the wiggle was a
here, and
study.
the rest is gonna stay as
Yeah,
we've got about 10 minutes.
class 3, and then the two.
So if you put up the Alameda one is up on the screen there, that's where Atherton Avenue is, we covered that already. The top one, the approved project is Alameda de las Bogas, that one's already in the mix, already moving forward, so that's a town approved one already. El Camino Real, we already talked about. And then Atherton Avenue down there at the bottom, but Stockbridge and Almondrell are proposed as Sharrows. Those are pretty straightforward. Pretty easy.
Has there been any demonstrated benefit to painting bicycles on roads as a way to enhance the safety of the bicyclist?
Paint the bicycle.
That's what
Just do
Sharrow is.
Sharrows enhance
It's, do
safety.
The green,
Sharrows
the
actually,
green ones.
the green, because like
Not the
just
white
painting
ones.
pictures
The
of
white
bikes,
ones,
like
yeah, white
what
Sharrows.
Atherton Avenue is.
So I understand when you like have let's say a road has fog lines and there's a Sharrow, people go, oh, most people probably don't know what they are, but they're thinking, oh, and the people that know go, oh, there is no bike lane.
Right.
But on a road like Stockbridge or Almondrell, does it help? Because nobody's gonna think there's a bike lane.
Nobody's gonna think there's a bike lane, but with a painted Sharrow, it's very clear to the cyclist that you have the right of the roadway.
Well, you always think that.
That is true.
But we have the right to be on any road.
Right.
I think it's more of a reminder to the motorists
Yeah,
to be aware that there are cyclists on the street.
so.
And Sharrows are, like I said, are the lowest level, I mean, we went through the tiers.
Yes,
It's the lowest level,
right.
and it's just basically to advise folks, be aware. It's through the Sharrows, through the signage, that this is a bike route. Don't be surprised that there might be somebody on a bike on the street.
So I have a quick question, design element, but it was a problem the last time we went and painted stuff on the pavement, on the roadway, and we did it with the,
Thermoplastic.
Different issue, that's a design issue.
I know.
We're not using thermoplastic, we're using paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
comforting
We'll
to
use
me.
paint
Right.
So we have been, I think one of the recommendations we come in forward was to kind of switch at some point what we do. The paint fades away real fast. That's one of the problems. I think the original, if I recall,
Yeah.
it
and
was like multiple layers of the thermo.
Yeah, every time you run over it.
And so
It has like a speed bump.
Yeah.
Just disintegrate.
there are a couple of things that have changed over time. Number one is the placement of those. Used to be more to the side, and so it would be in the wheel path.
Wow.
These days, it's migrated more to the center of the lane, so it's more in the vehicle path rather than where the wheels are, so you feel them less. But then the other thing that's also changed is going from just white to being a rectangular white on green.
Okay.
To make it stand out more.
Right.
And so that's something that we're internally thinking as to whether or not we should shift from just white on black that fades away real quick to something that stands out more.
So I would agree. I honestly, on a number of these roads, and when we talk about the next page in Lindenwood, I go, why do we even have this? Because they don't make sense to me. I mean, they don't enhance safety to me. I mean.
Okay.
So that could be removed.
So
That's the direction.
so if we can finish up, are there any objections to having Sharrows on Stockbridge, Almondrall, and Polinas?
I have a question about
Yes.
these painted. So when I first moved into my house, there's a Sharrow icon outside my fence, which is also close to where I have a sewage line that goes under the road. That I had someone at one point tell me, never try and fix your sewage line that's under the road because you'll have to replace the painting on the road on your own cost, and then it's like $20,000 to paint it. I don't know if this is a reliable source, but how does that work for the resident who's right in front of one of these icons? If they have some renovation on their home, is there?
Okay. So, the cost associated with is more associated with the excavation. So I'm gonna say there's a big difference between putting the paint on the street, because we pay for that through all of our projects.
Yeah.
And there is a cost to it. I'm not saying it's non-existent. The major cost though is related to excavation in the road.
Right,
So-
they separated the price to me. They said the paint is like stupid expensive. You have to go through some.
I'll do it for 12.
I know, I was like, I'm just gonna spray paint
So-
and just fix it,
Okay,
but
so
I didn't do this work because I was like,
that's
pass
okay.
on that.
I'm outside of the meeting, happy to share what we pay for these things.
So, but this
But-
wouldn't impact if a resident who had this in front of their house and they needed to do some kind of work, this wouldn't create some massive expense
It's,
for them.
paint is not a massive expense.
That's all
The
I
trench
wanted.
restoration though, maybe. Yeah. And so you'll have a lot of folks that for sewer will try and do trenchless work, where they dig at the main and then they dig at the house and they feed in between.
I get all that. I'm not worried about the cement. I very specifically wanted to paint.
Yeah, so the paint, the striping is not expensive.
So the mayor asked a question several minutes ago, which was, is there any statistical measure about the benefit of putting the icon in the road in terms of safety?
What I would say is actually there's new guidance from Caltrans on discouraging Sharrows on streets that have speed limits above 25 miles per hour. So Sharrows on the busier, faster, wider streets, almost actually less safe. On the narrow, local residential streets, such as these, where vehicle travel is, significantly lower, with both volume and speed, the Sharrows are more, like you said, they're not detracting from safety. It's more on those types of streets, a reminder and almost like a wayfinding, like for a bicyclist, like this is a route, this is, I'm expected to be here type of thing. Yeah.
The speed limit on Atherton Avenue, however, is 39. Right? 30, okay.
Right.
Stockbridge is 25.
I personally think these icons are pointless, but I don't wanna
Oh, I don't, I think they're
you
really
think they
valuable,
help?
They're fine.
absolutely,
They're helpful for wayfinding.
absolutely.
Okay,
Even
great.
the sheriff.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah, I
happy
think
to
they're
include them
valuable.
then,
Yeah.
great.
I just
So,
don't want them raised.
Alright, so.
Yeah.
So
we're
back on
clear-
this list, do
We're
we,
clear on the west
That was a
side.
big
well, Almondrell, do we need Sharrows on Almondrell? If they're going to be on Stockbridge and Atherton Avenue, I mean, why not Tuscaloosa?
Right.
I just don't think Almond
They
Draw
don't
gets that
have to
much
be
bike
every
traffic.
5 feet,
Doesn't.
but they.
But I
could
think
be-
Isabella should probably have them too. Who wants to sell that? Yeah, I just don't know that Almondrell.
I know one resident who would probably not.
All the things are in here.
So on the west side,
So I
Let's
would think
let's agree to
Almondrell.
Stockbridge.
Yeah, I'm okay with
Stockbridge is
Stockbridge,
good.
Atherton Avenue makes sense.
Okay, the
so,
question with Almondville is, where are the bikes coming from? Like, there's no
Nora,
bikes, there's no
Well,
crossing.
there's a pedestrian hybrid beacon at El Camino and Almondrell.
Right.
And that
that's-
exists there not because people are using Almondrell, it exists there because of the
For
fire station.
Yeah, so there's a fire
I-
station there.
Maybe Stockbridge is good enough for the sheriffs.
And Atherton.
and
And
then,
Atherton Avenue for the sheriff.
okay. And
okay,
But that up there says bike lanes on Atherton.
and Holdiness with the other.
This is not on the list, but in the picture, so
Yeah.
does that mean it already has them?
Yeah,
Or-
it has it all.
I mean, you're
No.
looking for them on Holdiness.
We would have
Okay.
put them in to continue off of Almondrell.
Okay, so, but
If
we
you're
just
not putting in Almondrell, then
don't worry about it. Okay, so no Almondrell, no Holdings, yes, Stockbridge.
Okay, so that's the west side, we'll pick up the
And
east
then,
side on
wait,
July
but
1st.
then Tom had raised Isabella and their,
So
There's
the
a lot of
peninsula
them that
bikeway
they're gonna want to
signs, if they're
There.
following those peninsula bikeway signs.
already talked about the stuff
there should be sheriffs.
Yeah,
wait,
they are,
before, so
right
before
now.
we get to this
They already
one,
are.
Elizabeth has a question on the slide prior. So her question was, for the Peninsula Bike Lane, do they all have share road signs already?
yes.
Okay, good.
Great.
All right, I know the vice mayor said he's got to leave. But there's another request to continue on the west side,
I think we can do it pretty good.
or on the east side, rather, excuse me.
Okay. So the Marsh Road,
We talked about
we
already.
talked about, so we're just talking about,
So,
we wanna talk about Glenwood?
Yeah, Glenwood as well as the ones in Lindenburg. So for Glenwood, it wasn't listed earlier in the presentation. No one made a recommendation to put it on there. In the detailed analysis, I guess one person who I believe doesn't even live in Atherton said, there were 2 people that said that they wanted a bike lane on Glenwood, and there was one person that said no. Out of 185 people, that's 25% supported putting something on Glenwood. People on Glenwood don't feel that they need it. There's not that much bike traffic except for on the weekend when a bike group goes through, and that bike group is a large group and they don't ride in a bike lane, okay? They go in mass all the way down. It's not a problem, and I don't think it's needed. It's a share-out and should remain as a share-out.
Is it already a share road?
It's a share-out now.
The sheriff now
Let's
proposed for
take
a
it
class.
off as a class 2.
So I say take it off. We should take it off, and then with regards to
Okay.
the Lindenwood area, as
Oh, but
you
let's-
know,
Wait, let's do
wait.
Glenwood first, George has something
It
to
was
say about.
proposed as a class 2 in order to connect with class 2s in the park.
Are those
Wow.
installed already,
Yeah.
or they're already installed?
you can connect to it by going down Encinal or going down Oak Grove. And actually, Menlo Park is doing a substantial amount of bike lane improvements on Oak Grove on their end of town. And that's where the kids ride on to going to high school.
Yeah.
They don't go down Glenwood.
And they go from the high school down, to go to the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For lunch.
That's true.
So
Or
take-
from
take
Hillview
one
up to
foot
the
on.
seven.
Okay, so-
Actually, they're probably going.
So I'm recommending, you know, the residents don't want it, the same as in Selby Lane and
Looks like
other
George is
places.
trying to say something.
So it's not take it off, it's leave it as a class 3.
It's
Is it-
class 3.
has to-
Oh, it is-
It's already has it.
Is it already a class 3?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, there's airplanes on the ground.
Right.
Except
Okay,
we're getting
then-
too
Then there was
cheap
the
bikes.
question Jerry brought up earlier, and I've spent a lot of time also walking around and riding around in the Linden and Wood area. There's not a need for bike lanes, designated bike lanes there.
There's no bike lanes proposed, it's just Sharrows and.
Sure, well, I don't think we need to do
So
anything.
it did come up that Frederick was the way into Oak Grove for cyclists that come down.
Well, Frederick might make sense because it goes to Oak Grove, but what about, James and Green Oaks? I think that's what Bill's
Yeah.
focusing on.
So, okay.
Do a lot of bicyclists go down James?
No.
I don't think so.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just feel like London would
You
just.
got more joggers than bikes.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a throughput street.
So let's
no.
take out James and,
So.
Remove
no
James, remove Green Oaks.
No Green Oaks.
We'll have the stretch of Green Oaks between Frederick and Oak Grove.
yeah,
That's
that's,
fine.
we should
Sure.
leave that.
Okay. So do we do the whole list?
So we did the whole list of bikes.
The only comment that hasn't been covered is the proposal which came before you from the kids
Yeah,
with regards to doing the class 4 on Middlefield where we have the buffers. That's putting in the delineators. Construction's easy. My worry is two things. One is maintenance. Street sweepers can't fit there. And so we will need to figure out how to deal with that.
how do they do it on Woodside?
They have a little more space and Redwood City bought a skinny
Oh, is
street
that right?
sweeper to sweep.
Like the Dunbar
theirs.
Bridge has one.
So we might need to coordinate with a neighboring jurisdiction to do that. And then there's some parking on the west side where the parents kind of park on that shoulder area, which will not be accessible with the class.
It's not
But-
supposed to park, there's no parking
So I have
signs
a
that are all over the
process
place.
Yes.
So with the, are you essentially asking us to have this come on a future agenda with more?
No, so
For us to study it, or is this just
all I'm
do-
saying is that first, you didn't cover this. So
It's on the list.
it's on the list,
So it's just for this plan, not for immediate action?
not for immediate action.
Okay.
Okay, and so is it something that you want to move forward with in the plan?
Well,
I'm hearing
Menlo
consensus.
Park put these delineators up on Oak Grove a couple of years ago, and within a month, they were all taken down. Now, I don't know if they're putting them back up now or not. I know that they have caused problems with both bicyclists. Okay, and.
Well, we
you know,
can get a
I'd like to
proposal.
get more
Yeah.
data on it.
Okay,
And-
so listen, we'll leave it in for now.
Yeah.
And we could talk about potential implementation at some future
But
date.
it's probably not all of Middlefield Road.
No, it's just
It's
between
to protect
Glenwood,
Ensign
it's
School.
just where we have the buffers now. So we have buffers on Middlefield Road. And theoretically, it can be separated by putting in delineators within that space.
The trees serve as a buffer if you're gonna put it.
The trees are on the sidewalk side.
On the other
So this is
side.
the bicycle.
This is between the cars
We're putting it
and
on the road.
on the road,
Yeah.
between the cars and.
On both sides?
No, sorry. Both sides of the street where there is currently a striped buffer.
That'll be both sides.
Okay,
Okay.
so I
Okay,
think we'll do.
so I
the
think
rest.
we're done with bikes?
Yeah, this meeting will continue.
This-
But we're gonna, guys, we have to actually end the meeting before you leave, so we're continuing this meeting to July first.
So July 1st is an item on your
We
radar.
will make a joint
Carly,
meeting.
we'll just do it.
Yes.
I did try to not have bike lanes on this, is that gonna happen? Everyone's leaving on Frankie, so, okay, so July first, this will continue.
Yes.